It was 10 years ago when we tied the knot. Thought she was the jackpot, the best thing I got. But now I'm here, just me and the breeze. She's got the house, the truck, and even my keys. My pal Shaw warned me, said get it and go. Don't let love blind you, boy, don't be sold. But I shook my head, laughed him away. Now look who's crying at the end of the day.
Yo, what up, guys? Hope y'all are doing well out there. We got the folks in here already, man. That's what I'm talking about. We're just going to listen to a couple songs. We got Shoulda Listened to Shaw by Dan the Man. Hey, hope I got that right. Forgive me if I didn't. And then we got Deadbeat Woman coming up here from Luke Nielsen, our very own Luke Nielsen. I want to give him a chance to get in here before we play his song. That song, I believe, is a song that can just be played, like just go like wildfire across the states. I can see people walking into their, bars and local bars, whatever, and hearing Deadbeat Woman on it and just slamming them back, man, slamming them back. We're going to save Mr. Pitt's Shaw's Bold Endeavor for our outro this time. We're going to save it for the outro. I'm glad to be here, guys. I had a pretty long, full day today. I'll tell you more about that as we get in. Guys, if you're just watching this, if you're watching this after the stream, you want to give it about 10, 15 minutes until we get into some action. So you might want to forward if this is after the live. Real quick, I just want to acknowledge my brother, Giovanni English. Shout out to Giovanni English for the $9.99 super chat. Just showing some love, Shaw. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you contributing to the show and donating hard-earned money and being here with us tonight. So I'm going to try to make that worth it for you. I'm going to try not to spend all this money on cigars, retro video games, dates with women, whatever it is that I happen to do out here. So thank you for that. Let me acknowledge my other folks here. Mad Villainy 6845. Hopefully audio's coming in clean. Everybody can hear me okay. Say anything if not. This is so interesting. Simone and Malcolm showed up on my feed for the first time earlier this week. It was a different video though. I've seen them around a couple of times. They're interesting. They got like a good 50,000 subs here. They're pretty big. And I found it interesting that they did something on Dowries and Bride Price. This was done 2 weeks ago. So we'll take a look at it, see what they got to say. I did listen to you could say pretty much most of it, and I found it interesting. All right, time for our song here from our brother Luke, who's in the chat with us. He gave us an amazing song called Deadbeat Woman. I do need to get a thumbnail made for this. I need to post all these songs, like I said, on the channel. The Gold Pill album is coming together. This song is too good. Let me just put it down a tiny bit. Hopefully he's not blowing out y'all speakers now. This song is so good. Like, I went to downtown. Man, let me just mute this real quick. My bad, it was just a good buddy of mine. Anyways, I'm loving this song. I listened to this song like 5 times today. This is like true Americana right here. That's what this is. This is like, Luke, what you created, like this is fantastic. This is money right here. People want to hear this. This needs to be played in bars, taverns, all over the country.
They
I gotta play it in its entirety for you another time. Sorry to talk over it. It's too good. Gosh, how many deadbeat women have we just been around? Any of you guys in the Discord today, you guys saw a funny example. Someone who just couldn't handle the heat. She came in the kitchen, man, and she could not take it, bro. Mr. Pitt says Saturdays are for the boys. Absolutely. Shout out to Mr. Pitt. Thank you, brother. We're gonna have a fun time tonight. Coffee enjoyer. Great. I'm gonna have some coffee tomorrow. I'm actually got something planned tomorrow. And I'm gonna have some coffee over there. So it's gonna be nice. Michael saying, great to see you in here, Michael saying. Shaw's in the house and the music Dowry bumping. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this line. She doesn't want to chip in a dime, but starts every fight. Not the house. Thank you again, Giovanni, man. Appreciate you. Don J. DeMarco. Peace, Big Shaw. What it do, homie? Man, we're chilling. You know what I did today? I went with my buddy Mark, and we went to the anime convention. We went to an anime convention downtown, and we went out there. We were trying to meet this voice actor, man, that we remember from when we were a kid, bro. But the line was just so crazy long, and it just wasn't going to happen. So we had to just abandon that. Then there was some people like doing sword fighting with like foam swords. I got a bunch of footage of that. And I got footage of like just everything walking around, and it was pretty cool. You know, it was pretty cool. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to Luke Nielsen for his hit wonder here, Deadbeat Woman. We're gonna play that again. We're gonna play that again before it goes. We're about 7 minutes in. I mean, I think we got 15 people in here. We don't need to keep things going with the music. So we'll play some more music towards the end and enjoy that. Let me just catch up with the chat. And then before we get it, just to give a little bit more time, I got a story here about a guy who wins a huge jackpot right after his wife divorced him. So we'll have some fun with that. We got a whole video on that, man, and it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. So we're just gonna see what he's got going on there. Pretty sure this is the one. Man, I hope I actually got the video. Let me double check my gosh, where is the video? I know I saved it. I hope I did not lose it. Michael says, looks like a good one today. We're going to have some fun. Yeah, we're just reacting to this. I saw them discussing this. And I was like, that's interesting. You know, so bride price and dowry as a topic of conversation is pervading. You know, we got some osmosis going on. So let's see what they got to say. Okay, I only saved that one. Dang, I don't know if like I'm missing a video on this. There's like a whole video when it comes to this guy winning his this gigantic amount of money. Let me just see if it might actually be on my, the hell is this called? Instagram. Sorry, legends, I should have this already going. Luke Neal says, who to crew? Say the live stream on Twitch. How are you liking Metal Gear Solid so far? Oh, you saw it. Man, I actually am enjoying the game, bro. Like, it's very hard for me to sit down and play video games. It ain't like how it used to be for me. But man, I actually enjoy, like I played it for like 2 hours last night and I actually genuinely enjoyed it, which I was like really surprised about. I was like, man, I'm actually having fun playing this game right now. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, okay. It's gotta be on there somewhere. Deadbeat woman. Okay. Oh, is this it? No. It's just a picture of it. But dude, there was a whole video and I think I lost it. It was in the comments and it's gone.
No, but that included
joking.
No. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had the whole video for you, so I'm lacking on that. That's unfortunate. Let's see if I could just pull it up on YouTube real quick. It's got to be there. Guy wins lottery after wife divorces him. 273 million. Totally bad to be looking this up right after the fact. Here we go. Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's on Facebook. That sucks. I'm not logged in. Deadbeat woman. Oh, here we go. They're saying this is the clip, but I think it looks like they took it off, man. That sucks. Between the time I had this thing going, they took it off. So that's unfortunate. But this is what it was right here. And there was like a whole news thing associated with this. And it was like pretty dang funny. So I wanted to share that with you guys. It's not happening. We're off to a bad start. Glad you liked it. I thought it was awesome. Shout out to the crew from Luke Nielsen, the Deadbeat Woman. Fantastic new song. Suvaya, welcome in. Great to see you in here. What it do? I'm going to search one more time desperately trying to find this. If anybody finds it, just send it to me on the Discord if you find it. That's too bad. Deadbeat woman. Man, I've been singing that to myself like all day too. It's crazy. I think all of these are just going to be reaction videos. It's like, dude, we're good off that. I just want the clip. Oh, here we go. No, it's just a bunch of stuff in there. Can't trust it, man. Sorry. Deadbeat women are everywhere. Yes, they absolutely are. You can thank ZZ Top. They were the inspiration. Shout out to ZZ Top for that. Miss Khan joins the list too. I've been seeing her. I think Pearl's doing a story on her. Actually, right now, I think she's still live. And something happened where she got outed or something, allegedly, as fraud. Coach did a story on her too. I don't know what it was, or she's a side chick or something. I'm not sure how explosive it is. I heard her degrees weren't a thing either or something. Like she was kind of lying about her credentials. So I don't know. Another one implodes, I guess. And if she was lying, then yeah, she's full of it. You know what I mean? And she needs to be taught she needs to be called out for it. Live the video. Love the video. Gang, gang. Shout out to you, brother. Loving your incredible music. Let's see. Does Miss Khan have a dowry? That's a good question. I mean, I wondered if she was married. Sounds like she isn't. I'd like to think with all the money she made charging for consultation calls that she saved up a dowry for herself. She should have a dowry. I don't know what she's doing out here. Real quick, speaking of Dontavius, who we know and love.
Hey, yo, Dontavius.
Yeah.
What's today's quote of the day?
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
Absolutely right. We got a story out of China that says a Chinese rehab center aims to treat gaming addiction by forcing kids to play for 15 hours a day. So they're trying to, it's kind of like giving kids a bunch of cigarettes, I guess. I don't know if you ever remember that episode of Simpsons where they catch, I think it was either King of the Hill. No, it was King of the Hill. I think Hank catches Bobby smoking cigarettes. So he makes him smoke like an entire carton until he just gets sick and throws up and never wants a cigarette again. Su Chen Hao, once an esports club owner, started these wedge out courses in 2023, costing up to $1,400 for 22 days. Teenagers play from morning until midnight with minimal breaks, making games feel like hard labor rather than fun. I don't know, man. If you put Dontavius in there, bro, I think this would be his university. He would love it, bro. This is going to make some great gamers. This is some amazing reverse psychology for the parents here. Su's program has re-educated around 4,000 children, with over 85% showing serious addiction, reflecting China's struggle with gaming obsession. So I did want to show that. I'm still disappointed I can't find this gambling guy's thing here. That's sad as hell, man. There was a whole video about it, I promise you there was, Deadbeat woman. And they took it from us, bro. It's messed up. They took it from the whole internet. Yeah. And it's I can't scroll through Twitter while freaking, looking for this thing because you can't trust Twitter, so it's here we are. That being said, I think we should just probably head over and start watching the main deal here. If no, Otto, Popper, and Dead B. If no, yeah, exactly. Never liked her at all. Khan apparently is a side chick after knocking side chicks. There you go. The degree thing has been in question for a while. Separately, she seems to crash out in comments and DMs. Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of the story, and she was arguing with somebody. It seemed like one of those weird things where it's just like, why are you even sitting here wasting your time doing this? You know, so they were able to get this. It was like a lot of gossip, but it just made her look really bad. It's not even gossip because it's screenshots, I guess. But she makes all that money, but she's not contributing, but starting the drama. Deadbeat. Yeah, I mean, some people come out, man, like, I can't say, like, exactly, but they just seem too prim and perfect. I had a coworker back when I worked at child support, and this guy was, like, my mentor at child support. And he used to tell me his dad, and this guy loved beer, by the way. They both love beer. But he used to tell me his dad did not trust anybody that didn't, like, if you don't drink... okay, you don't drink, but then you also don't smoke, or you also don't do this, or you also don't do that. Like, if you don't have, like, one common vice that you do, like, he told me that his dad doesn't trust those people. Like, there's always something going on with those people. And I think there's a lot to say about that advice. Like, if you're out here, like, you're not doing one bad thing occasionally, there's something deep under the surface that you're doing that's bad. You know, so if I see you and, like, you don't do at least the smallest of vice here, like, you're not human at all, I'm suspicious of you. You know, and some of these people come out here and they're just, like, very prim and proper, and it's just like, what are you hiding? You know what I mean? What are you hiding? W. Dontavius, you gotta stay gaming, bro. Don't focus on no girl. Man, I gotta make it a sound effect. I'm gonna do that. Dontavius is a video game Olympian. Internet search is saying Sadia Khan was recently involved with an engaged man. Oh, there you go. Okay, so he was, oh, that's messed up. In addition to that relationship scandal, her professional credentials are being called into question. Yeah, you know, a lot of people are just very good presenters. They're very good talkers. They really know how to convince you. Like, maybe some of the stuff she said has some merit to it. I don't know. But at the same time, like, the hell is, at the same time, if she's claiming to have certain credentials and lying about it, that's just disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, I can't trust that. So she's a relationship coach and psychotherapist, which I guess is in question. I never really watched too much of her stuff. I've seen some of it, but it just wasn't like my cup of tea. I just really didn't care. You know what I mean? But I had seen that she was going around and sort of, talking about stuff. I didn't really hear anything new from her, to be honest. She has like this kind of like voice that's too calming. Like, there's something I don't trust about it. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. And it almost just annoys me to hear it. I'm sorry to say, forgive me, but that, something like that, if I hear it, I'm like, I don't know about this. Gotta check that misogyny. Yeah. Oh my God, man. That's so funny, man. Like, if you guys were in the Discord, then you would have seen it. Man, honestly, man, I gave it to her pretty hard. Like, I let her know. She didn't know what to say back. Like, and I don't know. You know what? I'll do a poll. Maybe you guys will just prove me wrong. Is Shaw misogynistic? I don't know. Maybe I'm coming off that way and I really am. Because to be honest, bro, like, I take a lot of care to not come out here basically being misogynistic. I'm not the one out here selling, women submitting to men, doing all this stuff. I'm just looking for a fair deal. I'm talking about family law. I'm talking about men's struggles when it comes to custody of their children, when it comes to dealing with the child support system, when it comes to monies that states receive for the child support system. I'm talking about the dowry system. I'm talking about what marriage used to be. I'm annoyed with traditional conservatives half the time because of what they're selling. We're talking about masculinity. But I don't ever recall coming out here saying women shouldn't be doing this, they shouldn't work, or they shouldn't have the right to do this, or all this kind of stuff. So it's like, someone looks at what you're doing and then they make an assumption because they just, their brains just are like used to a certain thing and they don't want to think deeper. They don't want to take, some time to actually look at what you're talking about. And a lot of it is just, my feelings are hurt, therefore you are a misogynist. And I mean, honestly, when it's like that, then all you can really do with them is
give a fuck what you think, bitch. Cut that bitch off. Next caller.
You know what I mean? Or you got to give them this one right here.
Shut your bitch ass up.
And she got that plus more today. So if you guys were in the Discord, man, feelings were, you know, identities were changed. Mr. Pitt says, critics allege that Khan misrepresented her qualifications, only holding a bachelor's degree in psychology and lacking credentials as a licensed therapist or trauma expert. Wow. Yeah, okay, so just a bachelor. So, I mean, to be a psychotherapist, I mean, you got to probably do a lot more than that. There's probably, you know, hours that you got to put in beyond a bachelor's. So lacking credentials as a licensed therapist or trauma expert, dang. Yeah, you can't be coming out here lying about your credentials. Like, you got to be honest about, like, what that is. And especially when it comes to giving advice, if that's what you're going to do, then you got to be honest about your credentials and say, hey, like, this either isn't advice or this is what it is. This is just me sharing my experiences or something. Michael Sayan says, I just found out that FBI watches main players in the red pill. Anyone hear that? Something about dangerous ideology. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I would not be surprised by that. I think they do put plans, and I've heard that from larger people who have more experience in the space, and not just popular, but you know, men's rights individuals. That's a thing that it's a thing that's happened before to other people we know, and it's a thing that they're always trying to do to get a handle on. So there is people that come in and they will try to go to community to do things that are questionable. You know what I mean? Like, and you got to be very vigilant against that. And say, hey, this isn't what we're doing here, or whatever the heck it is. But, you know, whether it's like trying to like call for violence or something like that to try to cause a stir and then make everybody look bad or cause an issue. I don't know what you'd even call that. Like, I think there's like a very specific, like agent provocateurs. You know, there are agent provocateurs out there. Or they come in and they'll offer you a bunch of money, you know, and it's like, the purest way to be would be to not be monetized, you know. I tend to just stick with donations for if people feel like they want to donate because maybe it helped them or whatever. But if you're like just selling something or you're doing this or you're going to take the money or something like that, I think the message is going to be affected because now it's a sales gig. Or you just took a bunch of money to say what some people want you to say, you know what I mean? You know, like I don't, you know, I'm just some guy out here, but it's like, who knows? You know, like Daily Wire comes up to somebody and says, hey, they offer them a contract. That's a real thing, you know, to where people think about it. Like, hey, if I take the contract, then I got to be within these parameters of discussion. You know, and it could be life-changing money. It could be like, I don't know, $17 million. To most of us guys, $17 million, like, I don't know, you know, like, can change a lot of things. So, you know, some people take it, some people don't. I don't know. That's on point. Yes, sir. I've always felt that way. You can't trust anything that seems too perfect. Yeah, absolutely. There's just something like they're hiding, and they're usually hiding something that's like worse than smoking or worse than having a drink every now and then or worse than, you know, having some girlfriends or whatever it happens to be. Like, then it's just like, okay, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, get your squeaky clean self out of whatever I'm doing over here. I drink and I'd be at the JUCO if I had money. Shout out to Uncle Earl. Oh man, I'm taking too many of Coach's sound effects, but shout out to you, man. Hey man, and you know what, bro? More power to you, bro. More power to you. As long as, you know, you don't drink too much and you're good to folks and you don't harm yourself. Be good to yourself too, man. Gonna out my profession in the military a bit, but when a story is too perfect, it is a lie. Yeah. I don't know what your profession is. And I mean, you know, all I'm saying is that, don't worry, I don't think you outed yourself too much, but you know, maybe it's like some kind of interrogator or something like that, or an investigator. Sounds like, you know, like when you think of like, homicide investigations or things like that. Maybe it's like a similar role, but yeah, you can tell like there's something missing here. It's missing the human element. Yep. Something about her immediately seemed off to me. In April, sorry guys, we'll get started in about another few minutes. I'll look at chats. I enjoy chatting with the folks. I mean, this is me walking into a bar or the tavern on a Saturday night and finally being able to sit down after a long week and just chat with the folks. You know what I mean? So I want to chat with the folks, and that's what we're doing out here. So, okay, yeah. In April 2023, news outlets reported on FBI documents associating internet slang, including based and red pill with violent extremism. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like putting them under the same umbrella as like terrorists. If you can do that, then they can pretty much nip everybody as they're coming up and saying, oh yeah, this is associated with these kinds of things. They're spreading this kind of radical ideology, and it can be an issue. Then there's other people who are just talking about family law, child support. Literally, I worked there for 5 years. I can't come on here and share my experiences with that without people looking at me sideways. And then what they want to do is they want to sweep all that in there to keep the gynocentric train going. Also, double check timelines and have them repeat in a different fashion later on and see how they measure up. Yeah, sometimes I'll watch those like interrogation videos on YouTube, and it seems like a lot of time they'll either interview people separately, or they'll have one critical piece of information, or they'll know they're lying and they really let them, they really just keep them on that path of lying until they've given them a story that's destroyed any alibi they could have had. And then they're like, well, what about this fact? This actual piece of evidence that we have that you either weren't here, or your cell phone pinged over here, whatever it is. And then it really then they're in trouble, Yo, shout out to Luke. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming in. I can make a Dontavius soundbite for you if you'd like. That'd be helpful, man. I mean, I don't want to put you through the trouble if you don't have time. If you got some time, man, throw it in the Discord. I'd appreciate it. I added your tinfoil sound effect hat, by the way. We might have to bust this out tonight, but I did bring this in. So that was from you, Mr. Pitt, and I do appreciate you giving that to us, man. So I'll be sure to use that. It might be a little loud. Maybe I should put that a tad bit quieter. Let me just put that a tad bit quieter. I'll put that at 14. Okay. So thank you for that, Mr. Pitt. That is very helpful for me. She deserved that response, man. She really did, bro. She messed up, dude. She honestly did mess up. She's tripping. She's tripping. ABG, always be gaming. Bro, I always used to say always be negotiating. That's the thing. And I know there's a maxim in the red pill of you can't negotiate attraction. Well, it doesn't mean you're just trying to logic attraction, but you should always be just, talking to people, doing stuff, just deal making with people all the time. You know what I mean? This one today from what happened in the Discord, I was supposed to see her on Monday. And the truth is that, I already got some other stuff going on. So I'm really not tripping. You just gotta stay gaming, bro. You just can't focus on no girl, man. Like Dontavius said, you're forgiven. She is fine, though, Sadia Khan. I don't know. All the makeup is off to me. She's hiding something, obviously. Reverend X is misogynistic, though. That reminds me. I was thinking a song called Broke AB, but decided against it. Yeah. I think Deadbeat Woman's fantastic. You coward. Probably best as some sort of rap tune. One thing is for sure, we don't give a F if they called us misogynistic. That humiliation dome doesn't work on us any longer. Absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is I didn't believe this woman because she said she Googled my name and she said my digital footprint was misogynistic. And I challenged her and I was just like, okay, name one thing that's misogynistic. And, I was like, can you define misogyny? Shout out to Luke Nielsen for that one. And she couldn't. She was just like, well, it makes me feel this way. She was just like, well, the fact that I see it that way or whatever. So I really nailed her hard on that. But yeah, it really doesn't, man. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm on the T app already. It might be that because I Googled it and I can't find my channel when I Google anything. If I just Google just Shaw, not this is Shaw. So I was like, maybe that's what it is, but they just didn't want to say. Psychotherapist. I am the misogynist one, joking, but I should be looked at as the extremist. Repeal the 19th women in the kitchen, etc. Hey, man, shout out to you for being honest, Shout out to you, man. Mr. Pitt says, it's the DHS, and yes, they're maintaining a watch list. I'm probably on a few watch lists. When I got back from Iraq, some DHS chick put veterans concerned about gov overreach as a potential. Really? That's crazy that they would do that to a veteran. I mean, I guess there could be domestic issues or something. I don't know. If you think, I don't know. Like, sure, it could be anybody, even if they served before. But it just seems, that's unfortunate. I don't know. It just seems kind of messed up to me, man. Tilly says, I'll go further and say the anti-gynocentric will shame the Evo simps. Absolutely. Misogynistic, says Klaus. Which definition? The real one or the woman version? Yeah, the any given day, my feelings version. Thanks, Mr. Pitt. I would love to do more on DHS. OSI. Mike, look into the DHS-supported diverting hate program. Google search will return a lot of information. It's too complicated to explain in chat. Heck yeah. Misogynist and toxic masculinity. Embrace it, says Mad Villainy. Luke Nielsen says, Mad Villainy is ready to be the villain. Sometimes you do have to be the villain. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to play that role when people just aren't understanding. And then maybe they'll like actually learn something, you know? Luke Nielsen says, I think the 19th should be repealed, and even some men shouldn't vote either. We need to go back to some sort of qualification. I just haven't figured that part out yet. Been thinking about it for a long time. You know, it's an interesting thing, like, because sometimes women will say, well, we weren't able to vote until like 100 years ago. And it was like, yeah, most men couldn't vote until like just before that. Literally because we didn't live in democracies. You know what I mean? We lived in monarchies. The entire sovereignty was contained within one person, which was the monarch. There was no, you know what I mean? There were different interests. There were different families. There was negotiating. But the common man was not voting on things. You know what I mean? So it's funny they say that, like men have kept them down for thousands of years. And it's like, no, we had different technology. We had different abilities. We had different limiting factors in the way humans could live our lives. And that's what created the systems that we had that were the most efficient to live under those conditions. You know, but you know what I mean? Listen, man, if you watch this channel, we know that there's a lot of just false history thrown out there, not just from feminists, but also from tradcons as well. If you don't worship women, you're a misogynist. Yeah, exactly. I will vote for that, Luke. All right, let me end the poll, and then we'll go ahead and get started on the reaction to the video. We got the folks in, man. It's a blessing to see everybody in here. See what the poll says here real quick. Okay, 84% says no, that Shah is not a misogynist. Well, shout out to you guys, man. I appreciate that. 15% say yes. Hey, you know, I appreciate y'all, you know, being honest about it. I would be interested, though, for the 15% that said yes, if you can maybe just clarify which parts or which things I've said on my channel that are misogynistic. You know what I mean? If it really is, I mean, that's not what I'm going for here. Listen, and when we talk about even the dowry, which isn't misogynistic, that's just good deal making, good bargaining there. It's not like we're saying it's coming back. I mean, we acknowledge that we're in a new world and things like that, and things are going to be different. So it's just like it's just knee-jerk reactions from like literally just goldfish that don't want to think too far or too deep about anything. It's literally the same thing. It's like a Salem witch trial situation. It really is. It's like, he's a witch. You know what I mean? He's a witch. Warlock, whatever, sorcerer. She's a witch. So it's just a complete witch hunt when it comes to that kind of thing. You know, anyways. But yeah, you know, it would be interesting. I think as far as voting rights goes, I always think of like Starship Troopers. And the path to citizenship was, you know, service in the military there. You know, sometimes I think you heard people suggest like, I don't know, like being a net taxpayer or something. There's these different things people will say that's interesting. Being signed up for the draft might be one, you know, so I don't know. It's an interesting question to think about. Probably the way they would fix that is you just let women vote, but then you also sign them up for the draft. And, you know, if they don't have kids by the time they're 25, then it's like you're fair game to get drafted. If you got a kid before you're 25, then congrats, you don't get drafted. So it would give them an incentive, basically. But anyways, shout out, guys. Man, we're having some fun in here. we're going to be looking at this video, which is from a channel called Basecamp with Simone and Malcolm Collins, I believe. And, you know, it's interesting. Obviously, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know we've brought the dowry and the bride price discussion to the space. Paul Elam gave us, you know, a microphone on that. Pearl, just Pearly Things, gave us a microphone on that. And other channels as well have given us, you know, It's Complicated channel. Shout out to him. Did an episode on the dowry, and he put a clip of me at the end of it. So there are some pretty big platforms. I met up with Coach, you know, on his Twitch stream. We discussed the dowry there. So slowly, this has been, you know, kind of just spreading a little bit through the space. Maybe not like wildfire, and that's okay. But, you know, I don't mind tortoising my way to the finish line. You know, slow and steady works. And so this was something I saw out there. Somebody sent it to me on the Discord. And, you know, I was like, hey, that's cool. People are talking about it, you know? Like, why not react to it? People are talking about it. And just see what's going on. I don't know where they heard about it from. Seems like it's pretty new to them 2 weeks ago. So let's just get into this, guys. Let's get into this discussion.
Hello, Malcolm. I'm so excited to.
Okay, so yeah, again, you know, I think I've seen them like around.
Hello.
I've seen them around. I think they're like what's called pronatalists, or they have a movement called pronatalism, and it's all about like having a bunch of kids. And I think it's a husband and wife couple here. I'm guessing they're in the same house. I think they're husband and wife, and they got a bunch of kids out here. And they want everybody to have a bunch of kids, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. So y'all might want to check out their channel, which is called Basecamp. It's called Basecamp with Simone and Malcolm Collins. It's called Basecamp. And so, okay. She's super excited. Let's see what she's excited about.
Hello, Malcolm. I'm so excited to be here with you today because I have something on my mind and we need to talk through it because I don't know. Should we return to selling women as brides?
All right. Just first off right there, man, like, I will tell you that cultural anthropologists, after studying the bride price for long enough, they changed it. Anthropologists came together and they changed the word. And I know Michael Sayin disagrees with this, but they changed bride price to bride wealth. So academics refer to it as bride wealth. And the reason is because after they studied it more, they realized that the sort of same market economics and the idea of selling something to like the highest bidder actually doesn't match, because typically bride prices are uniform within the community. So it's not like, you know, you're selling concubines out here and this concubine has this or will do that, so she's going to sell for a higher price. Bride prices tend to be more uniform. And there's reasons like this for why they change it. So when she comes off and she says, you know, selling brides, I get that can get attention maybe for views, but it carries a connotation that's not correct with this. So anyways, you know, whatever.
Should we be selling off our children as partners?
And you also told me that this happened frequently, like way more recently than I thought. Like,
yeah, no, we're going to go into it. We're going to go into it. I mean, also, like, can it be so wrong if, like, literally this practice gave birth to Santa Claus?
Wait, what?
If you guys have been watching my channel and watched our episode on Paul Elam, we discussed the Christmas stocking, and where I first heard of it was after I was on the show with Pearl in LA. I had lunch with our brother, who's, I don't think is in the chat with us right now, but Caesar Quintana. And at that lunch, which was a delectable lunch, I had a chocolate sundae for dessert. Caesar Quintana was very generous to me. He actually brought that up during lunch. So, and he told me about that. And then I looked into it. And then, you know, Peter Wright also sent me some newspaper articles. You know, I'll pull up one of them now just for the fun of it. You guys have seen it before, especially if you've watched the Paul Elam thing. Deadbeat women. Man, that song is so good, Luke. I can't stop sending it to myself. Clippings, Paul. Where's my Santa Claus? Oh, damn it. Crap. I probably shouldn't be doing this midstream. I know I brought this up when I was talking to Paul Elam. Deadbeat woman. Deadbeat woman. You know what? I'm just gonna bring up Paul's channel. Shout out to Paul, man. Hope Paul's doing well. I really do. It's been a while. I gotta. Paul and I, man, we gotta have another fun discussion, man. Deadbeat woman. I bet Paul would like that song, Deadbeat Woman. And you know, we got a whole thing out here. This is here it is. This is it right here. Christmas stocking.
Welcome.
Okay. The Christmas stocking. Many years ago, children hung up their stockings on St. Nicholas Eve, December 6th. Young women in convents all over Europe also placed their stockings at the door of the abbeys. This was an adaptation of the custom of young women's praying to St. Nicholas to provide them with good husbands and a marriage dowry. According to tradition, St. Nicholas once, under cover of night, threw 3 purses of gold into the house of a poor nobleman who was unable to provide for his 3 daughters. The money was their dowry and enabled them to marry. Some claim that the shape of the purses of that day, which were much like stockings, gave rise to the custom. Gradually, the hanging up of the stockings on St. Nicholas Eve ceased, and the custom was incorporated into our Christmas festivities. And we know, you know, from other sources that what was going to happen, you know, because there's longer versions of this story, was that the dad was too proud to take help, and he was basically going to put his daughters in a brothel. And they were very beautiful, too. So maybe they would have made some coin over there because they were going to starve because the guy was sick and he couldn't work and this and that. And the other thing, so yeah, next time you're, you know, checking out your Christmas stocking, you might want to think about dowry and brothels. So let's get moving on that.
Hold on. Wait.
Well, St. Nicholas became famous for secretly providing dowry money to 3 impoverished sisters, saving them from a life of destitution and prostitution. That is where St. Nicholas, like, is one of his famous things. And the stocking tradition comes from this myth, perhaps, or story of him having put gold coins in their shoes or stockings that were.
Hey, shout out to the gold pill while we're talking about gold real quick. And another thing, man, I love showing this clip because I just want to show, you know, like, this is where where's my Count of Monte Cristo? I gotta like get this clip, man, and just have it like on tap so I don't have to keep pulling up the YouTube video. Uh-oh, copyright incoming. But this is what it was like when I finally uncovered the dowry and brought it to the space. This was me, dude. I was deep in it, bro. Like nobody was trying to see it. You know what I mean? This is what it was like, man. I was like, oh my God, it was here the whole time. The missing history of the dowry. These tradcons, they don't know what's coming to them. They don't know what's coming to them. And the gold pill, you know, was born. Shout out to Trevor, our brother Trevor, for coining the dowry. Or not the dowry, excuse me, for coining the gold pill as the name of this particular subset of the manosphere discussion. Real quick, let me just check out. Did you play my other songs? I did, man. I did not. I did the Shoulda Listened to Sha. I did Deadbeat Woman. Maybe we can get them by the end of the show. Great. I did play your song, Shoulda Listened to Sha, but not the newer ones. I listened to them. Good stuff. I'm telling you, Sha, you got to bring that fire about St. Nick more often. The shock value will plant the idea into the heads. Yeah, that one's pretty well positioned for tradcons. You know what I mean? The dowry discussion, very specifically, when I was excavating this, frankly, this old academia, and shout out to Jack Goody. Jack Goody is you know, I believe the Oxford scholar here who did a lot of good work on these things. So shout out to him. May he rest in peace. Where's my? There we go. But yeah, like in my mind, you know, I was more concerned with the tradcon stuff, you know. So when I was looking at this, it was about having a conversation with them on this. Then when Trevor coined the term gold pill, suddenly it's like, how does gold pill relate? And it wasn't me. And frankly, it was even annoying me a little bit because it's like, well, what's the difference between that and the red pill? What's the difference the black pill? And it was just like, suddenly it was like being in a freaking brouhaha or a free-for-all or a kind of a melee, you know, like a Renaissance style sort of just free-for-all fighting there. between all the different this and that when I had just been focused on Tradcons because that was my first concern. And then it would cascade onto the others. So, you know, yeah, Tradcons I think would have the toughest time with that. December 6th. Why do we celebrate it on the 25th then? There's a reason why it switched over, but it used to be around then, and then, you know, it all got kind of wrapped up into the 25th. I think I had an article on that at one point. I just can't bring it up. I don't think I can bring it up that quick, man. Christmas stocking. I got 3 Christmas stockings. Oh, I found the Christmas stockings, all of them. Like, here's another one. And this one is from 1914. Many years ago, children hung up their stockings on St. Nicholas Eve. Okay, because St. Nicholas Eve was December 6th, and then he became the inspiration for Santa Claus. Young women in convents all over Europe also placed their stockings. Okay, yeah, so this is actually the same one. It's just a different print. Yeah, so this is the one we saw. This is 1914 also. Dowerless daughters. Oh, here's the other one. The hanging of the stockings. When was this? This is 1910, so this is actually 4 years before the other one. And this actually was published on the 24th of December in 1910. So this is like a Christmas Eve newspaper article from over 100 years ago, which I think is pretty cool. The hanging of the stockings, without which no child would believe it was Christmas, really originated from something which had neither to do with children or Christmas. And the only connection it has with Christmas is the nearness of St. Nicholas Day to our Lord's Day. But I'll tell the tale. Long ago in Italy, maidens had to have a dowry. It was not just Italy, man. We had Ireland, France, England, Greece, Spain, Germany. We do not stop out here when it comes to the amount of places where a dowry was required. But I'll tell the tale. Long ago in Italy, maidens had to have a dowry before they stood a chance.
Your dowry, it's my right.
Before they stood a chance of being married. And on the eve of St. Nicholas Day, 3 daughters, and remember, this is why I say the dowry is a check on hypergamy. It operates on the system to create positive assortative matching. Of a very poor nobleman, before they stood a chance to get married, and on the eve of St. Nicholas Day, 3 daughters of a very poor nobleman were discussing their chances of ever being married. And part of the full story, which isn't in this newspaper article, is that the dad was thinking about walking them down to that building behind the tavern that starts with the B. All right, the old brothel. You know what I'm saying? I was back before it was digital. When no dowry could be provided for them, when one of them said, "Let us pray to St. Nicholas tonight to provide us each with one," to which they all agreed, and before retiring to bed that night, they all did. And lo and behold, in the morning, each found a purse of gold in their stocking. Even after that, young girls placed their stockings in a prominent position on St. Nicholas Eve, December 6th, and now it has become a regular custom, only the date has been changed to Christmas Eve. So, I mean, I know you're asking that question, but, you know, that's pretty much at least an old source that discusses some of the history. Giovanni says children are still being sold today by their families for food. These goofy glasses are in a world of hurt. Man, I'm struggling. Shout out to you, Giovanni. Thank you, man. Man, I'm struggling with these two. Glad they're gossiping about the dowry and St. Nick, though. Yeah, I watched part of it, and I was like, there were some things that needed to be ironed out. I appreciate their enthusiasm. Mike says, right, bride price is more about selling your child to be a wife than people want to admit. Yeah, and what you're saying is at odds with, you know, the academics. But I do get that that's your view. You know what I mean? So, yeah, interesting discussion there. Luke says the movie is gold in and of itself. But, yeah, that clip is dead on for the gold pill discovery. Thank you, man. I love that clip. And I like that movie. I think it's with Jim Caviezel. And I like watching it on my CRT television at nighttime sometimes. The only thing that sucks about that movie, and I mean, I have an abridged version of Count of Monte Cristo here somewhere. It's just out of arm's reach currently. And I did read that. I think the actual one is like 1,000 pages, and this one was like cut down significantly. But the only thing that sucks about the movie, and I'm sorry guys, like I'm gonna spoil it. I'm giving you guys 10 seconds. All right, 10 seconds before I spoil this.
Do you have the stomach to watch a girl that you really love? Do you have the stomach?
Sorry, Mr. Pitt, I didn't put the faster one in
to
yet.
watch some motherfucker that got more money than you, that's more
This clip
handsome
is too
than you,
funny, man.
that's built more better than you. Fuck your bitch for a fee.
All right. So at the end of the movie, it really annoyed me because the Count gets back with Mercedes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get back with each other. And nah, man, that's too much Hollywood for me. I don't like that. Because he became a new person. You know what I'm saying? He went through all this whole hero's journey, and his old sense of self that was in love with her got replaced by something greater from the ashes. And this new guy is not in love with the same woman. That goes against good storytelling. You know what I'm saying? But of course, Hollywood had to do that. You know what I mean? In the book, it's different. In the book, he pretty much, destroys her life, which was ill-gotten because of their mischievousness and their lies. It was not deserved. So he pretty much puts her back into the position she was before, when they were both getting married, lower on the totem pole. And she's basically ruined at this point. And what happens is before they were going to get married, when Edmond Dantes, who's the Count of Monte Cristo, he got a promotion, because on the Pharaon, which was the ship that he then became captain of, whatever. That's in the movie too, or something. And so he got some boost of money, and that money he was going to use like for their marriage, basically, because he just got it. And he's like, okay, this is good. We're doing better now. Coogee sweater now. Shout out to Coach. And what happened is he got screwed over and sent to the Chateau d'If. And at the end of it, after he destroys her life, he gives her the equivalent of this amount of money. Like, I think in the same package or whatever he had it in. And basically it's like, here you go. This is what you deserved. Just that small amount of money that was going to be for our humble marriage or whatever. And then he sails off with his new young thing. You know what I'm saying? In a boat, and he dips out. That's the Count of Monte Cristo I like. So, anyways, yeah, that's a fantastic movie though. I do love the movie, even though it ends that way. Just to be clear about that. Luke says Russian Orthodox celebrate like on the 7th. If memory serves, but the new calendar Greek Orthodox go to the 25th. Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting little factoid there. Thanks for that, Luke. Michael says Rome had occupation over Israel. Slavery was huge. The New Testament talks about this. People sold their daughters as wives to use that money to save their children from going into slavery. I think that's only true for like really poor people. You know what I mean? Like dowry even happens in Afghanistan, but all you ever hear about is them selling their daughters very young. But papers that I've read an academic paper on that where they've interviewed people. It's only for families that are basically starving, and the choice is you're going to die from starvation, or they sell, the kid, basically, which is what they ended up doing, which is horrible, but it's that or die. Sorry, man, there ain't no welfare system out there so that you can go in there and get your food stamps. That ain't how it goes down. But interesting. Don DeMarco says winter solstice during Roman times was December 25th. To integrate Christianity into Roman society, Christmas was set to 1225, if memory serves. That's an interesting point, too. Yeah, because they would have had festivals around the solstices and equinoxes. If I remember, I think Easter every year is the first Sunday after the first full moon, I believe, after the spring equinox. A lot of these things are kind of tied into some of those ancient sort of markers. Thanks, Giovanni. Sorry, my bad. Russian Orthodox is Jan 7th. Oh, no problem, Luke. No problem. Thanks for clarifying that. 25th is for Roman. Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, man. I appreciate that. This is going to sound stupid, but how does a poor nobleman exist? Well, I mean, so there's a difference between hereditary status and economic status. So you can see somebody that has a hereditary status. An example like this would be the caste system in India. So you can have a Brahmin who's at the top of the caste system who ends up going broke because of some bad decisions, you know what I'm saying? But he still has a hereditary status, or she has a hereditary status. They're from that caste. So they can negotiate and parlay with the hereditary status. They're actually going to bring it up in here too in terms of American women, marrying European nobles. And when America was very young, just after its birth, there are a lot of women who did that. I think like the daughter of Marlborough was one of them too, where they would take these very large dowries and they would get married to a noble family, like a true noble family that had the you know, like the official, they were in the books as a noble family and into the aristocracy. And so this would be parlaying for a hereditary status. And it got to the point where I think the New York Senate, I have an article on this, but I can't dig it up on the fly, was they had to like pass a bill, or it went to Senate basically because there was too much money leaving America and it was going over to Europe for people who wanted to marry into noble families, because then you're coming from this new American money and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, shout out to you, Dan, man. Shout out, man. I don't like these two. They just pump out clickbait trolling content. I haven't watched too much of their stuff. I mean, maybe you're right. I can't believe they advocated for Ayala. Yeah, see, I don't even know what that is. Do you know Ayala is literally a coitus worker? You can, for 1 to 10K. If I keep it 100, I won't accept a wife if she ain't bringing at least 100K cash. Yeah, I think that's kind of the minimum. I mean, you know, if you're looking at a house that's about 500 G's, her family better be putting in 100K. And then, you know, if you should have 100K too. I would say so. Or honestly, you could get away with less. If she's not going to be working and you're going to be paying the bills and she's going to do her trad wife thing, then actually her family just coming in with 100K is justified. Then you pay the bills going forward. If it's like a more even thing and both people are working, then like I would say a more of a commensurate down payment on that, and both people are paying if they're going to be doing that. Would make sense. That's an interesting thing to think about. Like what does the dowry look like today? But typically, and this is not for rich people, typically the bride's family was providing the house. And I have articles on that. We have the documents. So that, yeah, that's what it was. But I mean, we're talking about 2025. It's like at least have something. At least have something. You know, if you're not coming into this empty-handed and then being able to be a trad wife. And this is where the dowry discussion is really important for tradcons to understand. And they will understand it soon. They will understand it. Giovanni says the Count of Monte Cristo is a classic. Absolutely. She admits to showering like once a week. Interesting. That clip is classic now. I'm feeling the Shaw take on the movie, man. I appreciate that, Luke. Didn't think about it, but he's right. I can totally back up the whole changed man through extreme experience. Truth Shaw is explaining. Oh yeah, anybody who's gone through like one good heartbreak, which I'm sure most of you have, when you're actually like over it, like, and you've gotten past it, a heartbreak really is a shattering of your sense of self. Like somehow your values and you're this and you're that, who you thought you were, brought you to this point of extreme disappointment. And your entire sense of self shatters, you know what I mean? Because it was so dependent on this other person and all that. And you have to literally rebuild your sense of self, and it's different once you do that. So to sit here and be like you're gonna be in love with the same woman, that ain't the case. That just ain't the case. You know what I mean? I lived that. Shout out to you, Luke. So this Monte Cristo film has nothing to do with the sandwich. No, yeah, no relation. I'll get back to this in a bit. Get back to the chat in a bit. Let's move in. We're 57 seconds in, but I think, you know, guys, I think we're used to what my reactions look like right now. You know what I mean? Like, I just enjoy chatting with the folks. That's what we're here to do. And that's just what we're doing. So, yeah, let's move in.
Drying by the fire at night. You didn't know this? Come on, you know your Christmas lore.
I didn't know that.
She's talking about it like she knew it. You didn't know this either, but I get it. Yeah, it's for the entertainment.
Women so that they could buy husbands. I didn't know.
That's the thing. It's like, this is so pervasive. And what our whole thing about culture is, as a culture, if you want to maintain relevancy and strength, you should look to traditions that other cultures have widely adopted that appear to correlate with thriving in some way, and ask yourself,
or your own culture's history, not even just other cultures. You know, what you guys used to do before this whole freaking train fell off the tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, should I maybe be doing this? And keep in mind that in higher fertility rate countries, which are developing countries, 65 to 75% have bride prices or variants of that tradition.
She's, you know, bride price is like in a lot of like sub-Saharan Africa, basically places that didn't get the plow or had polygyny, you know, going for a while. And one thing to point out too about the 66% figure is that a lot of, technically more cultures in society have had bride price. That's true. But technically, as far as if you look at it population wise, the more prevalent marriage transaction is the dowry from from the bride's family. And the reason that is because those societies tend to be monogamous and therefore very successful. So they tend to be monogamous and they tend to experience, a population growth and a kind of success in the system they got. And a lot of that's because of the plow, because they're making extra calories, because they're developing income stratification, because they're developing different niche skills where people can now focus on certain things instead of everybody just sticking at the base here trying to survive. So they start to become more successful. And so if you look at it from a population wise, only 4% of cultures from the World Ethnographic Atlas were dowry cultures, but they comprise 70% of the world's population. Let me see if I can find that here. 70%. This is from our Economics of Dowry and Bride Price from Siwan Anderson. Most societies at some point in their history have been characterized by payments at the time of marriage. Such payments typically go hand in hand with marriages arranged by the parents of their respective spouses. These marriage payments come in various forms and sizes, but can be classified into two broad categories: transfers from the family of the bride to that of the groom, broadly termed as dowry, or from the groom side to the bride's, broadly termed as bride price. Bride price occurs in 2/3. So 2/3 is around her 66%. I don't know if she's talking about something different, but 2/3 of societies recorded in Murdoch's 1967 World Ethnographic Atlas of 1,167 pre-industrial societies. Conversely, I'm trying to get this so you can see it. Conversely, dowry occurs in less than 4% of this sample. However, in terms of population numbers, dowry has played a more significant role because the convention of dowry has occurred mainly in Europe and Asia, where more than 70% of the world's population resides. So, shout out there. So, just some more fun history there. Just some fun history. All right.
Whereas in developed countries, virtually 0% have these now. Although I'm going to argue, actually, that's not quite true.
Yeah, but in rich Silicon Valley culture, it's quite common. But
well, basically, like both historically and presently, the most wealthy and educated people are still doing it. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, but also just to clarify a little bit, the dowry system was top to bottom. And if you didn't have it, then, well, you did not qualify for marriage. It's almost like regulating and saying, listen, it's not a good idea for you to start a family because you guys you haven't met the requisite minimum conditions to be able to take care of this family. But everybody from, royalty down to your peasant landholder or artisan or whatever were doing dowry. So it's not just that it was always rich people and not others. In dowry paying societies, it's from top to bottom. And if you don't match that, then marriage is not on the cards for you. Because if you made a family with somebody, it probably isn't going to be successful. So it's a kind of regulator. But what we have now is this giant welfare system, and everybody lives off the teat of the state. You see what I mean? And it's allowed all these, I call them canned food people. It allows all these kind of canned food people to sort of exist. And then ironically, it's still not even really doing much for fertility now, but people, are starting families that otherwise may have thought twice about, hey, let's figure this out before we jump head first into this, because otherwise our prognosis isn't that good.
But what academics will probably tell you is well, it's lower than 5% in developed countries, and only those are backwards immigrant communities. And I don't know about that, guys. The fertility rates of cultures that still practice this they're higher. There are obviously a lot of things that are wrong with these things, but what they do is actually it has me. You and I need to have a talk on whether or not
I do like how excited she is about it, because I think she understands. She understands why this is important, which is a good thing. And, countries now, especially like India, and places in India, I think that had high fertility, they're actually going down. And I think certain places have even hit below replacement level. The Middle East has been going down too. Mexico's down. But places like India is interesting because, they're moving away from this system as they've now encountered modernization. And, they got their feminism and stuff like that and all these things that accompany it going there. So you can see you can see as they move away how the fertility rate's affected. And, there's other things too. I don't want to say this is it. There's also birth control and stuff like that. You could maybe argue that birth control was always kind of around. But, obviously nowadays, because of industrialization, it's probably easier and cheaper to get. Back then, you probably went and you hung out with some witch and asked her for a blend of herbs or something to get this going. You know what? Real quick, let me just look at some of these chats. I know I missed a lot, man. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go to the bottom here real quick. Matthew, shout out to Matthew. Matthews in Goro. Sounds like a Mortal Kombat character. Hey, Shot, been a month or so since I've been able to catch you live. Saw you being interviewed last week, and you are on top of your game. You really have the gold pill at your fingertips. Thank you, Matthew, man. I appreciate that. I got another one coming actually Monday. It's Labor Day. And in the morning, I'll be doing another chat with some folks. So I appreciate you, man, checking that out and seeing me on there and giving me the words of encouragement. We just got to keep moving forward. Even if we tortoise our way there, we don't stop out here. It's just like Don Tavia says, you got to stay gaming. Don't focus on no girl. The gold pill train is moving. Eventually, people will have to contend with this, whether they like it or not. And we will be there to have those discussions with them. Somebody has to do it. The only time you'll ever see me being chivalrous is when I'm defending Lady Dowry. Other than that, you probably won't see me being too chivalrous out here. So somebody's got to defend Lady Dowry. Nobody was doing it. Somebody had to do it, and we're in it to win it now. Thank you again, Matthew. Michael says bride price existed in polygamous societies, dowry monogamous societies. Absolutely. Yeah, we do see that. We see that in the sources. Luke says, you nailed it. That reminds me of that char, and you did it. You nailed it. Dutchy, shout out Dutchy. The Romans had a birth control plant called Silphium. It's now extinct, and it caused large-scale destabilization among the Roman elite. Not good stuff. That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't see. That's an interesting factoid right there. I knew that there were some herbs that they had that can induce an abortion. So, and it's like, I don't think we give enough credit to the herbalists of the past and what ancient folks probably knew about medicine. And there's probably all kinds of lost things out there. But so there was these kinds of things out there. So, how readily available it was is the question. And, was it something only the rich could afford, or could poorer people get their hands on it? I don't know. But I think it's something that's interesting. So there is a sort of history to this that I think a lot of us don't think about too much. Dan the Man says, I saw your Discord comments with your lady friend. I left something in the Discord. Let's check it out, man. I'll pull up the Discord. Deadbeat woman. Man, that's such a good song. I'm telling you, like, I was blasting that in my car today. Memes and funny. Let's see what you left in here. No, is this it right here, Dan the Man? No dowry? Yeah, of course, no dowry. Thank you, Dan the Man. I appreciate that. How do I add my reactions to this? There we go. I got your reaction on that. Yeah, I'm tempted to pull it up here, but it's just like, it's all right, man. I don't got to pull it up. Deadbeat woman. Michael Sand says, I'm excited to watch Andrew Wilson talk to Shaw on bride price. Pay good money to see that. That would be a fun discussion, if he's ever willing to do it. That'd be pretty cool. I did have a chat with Rachel, just a quick back and forth, and she was interested in the discussion. But they're such busy folks, so if they might come back around, we might have the discussion. Be great if we did. Be interested to hear their view on it. They obviously have a lot of reach out here in the space and other places too. But like a lot of these people balancing large brands, it probably depends what's good for them or not, and if it's worth them having that discussion. So they got to do that analysis for themselves, and maybe they'll find that it's a discussion worth having. So I'd be willing to if they were. Yeah, it's at birth control plant equals small amounts of poison.
Do some variant of this, because think about it. You and I need to have a talk on whether or not we're going to do some variant of this, because think about it. They legitimize marriage. You're when you add a cost to something, you make it a bigger deal. You increase commitment and switching costs. Like, divorce is a much bigger deal. It's like,
well, yeah, it's investing. It's investing both parties into the marriage. So you're going in there. I almost take issue with this term that like all relationships are transactional or that like marriage is transactional. It is a transaction, like in a way, but not in the transaction where it's like, I give you this and you give me this. It's like, no, we're both coming into this and we're both investing some kind of wealth into this enterprise. Okay? And that's what marriage does. Marriage fuses your finances. This is what everybody's complaining about when it comes to divorce. So she should be coming with some contribution, which women historically did for the last, over 2,000 years, especially in Western societies. And what that does is it makes a mutual investment. So you're both more invested in it and you want it to succeed. If you go into business with somebody and then you guys have this investment pool to then transact with the rest of the world, then that kind of transaction comes in. If you go into business with somebody and you say, okay, we're going to start a business and we're going to own it 50-50. I own it 50-50 and you own it 50-50. And I know people don't like the word 50-50, but whether you like it or not, our law is 50-50. So until they change our law, which is 50-50 for the no-fault system, then we're going to be having to use the term 50-50 out here. Maybe even partnership too. But if you go into business with someone and it's 50-50 ownership and you're investing 100% of the money and capital into this business and the other person isn't, and that person can walk away anytime and they're entitled to half the assets of that business, why the hell would you sign that contract with them? It makes no sense. So it's just doing it with a dowry it makes more sense for the marriage. And that's how, the folks made it work there in older times all the way up until now. So I'm in my early 40s. What's this Discord thing? Usually I'm not behind, but whatever. It's just a funny conversation I had with somebody on a dating app. So I put a few screenshots in the Discord. I blocked her out and everything like that. Like I blurred her. I didn't blur her, like I just completely covered it with black. But it was a funny exchange. Oh yeah, another old guy dropping into Discord land. Bring it. Yeah, we'd love to have you in there, Donald. The Discord invite is in the description of this video, if you're interested, man. Matthews, Ingoro, Simone and Malcolm are pro-natalist, but the most interesting thing they have been able to articulate is the monoculture, a social virus whose goal is to wipe out any and all unique traits of cultures. Well, that's what America is. And not just America, but like pretty much you can say Western modernized society. That's what it is. But that's the deal. The deal is this is supposed to be a liberal democracy. You know what I mean? A secular liberal democracy. A lot of people will take issue with that and they'll say, well, it started off as Christian or this or that, or it was influenced by that. But either way, this is what the West has been selling to the rest of the world and saying, you guys should be secular liberal democracies. That's what they've tried to do. They've tried to install governments like that put religion into the private life there. At least that's how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. So yes, it does eat cultures, because when you come here from another culture or the original culture this started from, the only things that's really recognized about that culture are just surface level things like, oh, like your clothing. Oh, look, it's a cultural thing. They got the clothes on. Or, oh, look, the food. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I had Japanese food today. I actually did have Japanese food today. I had some salmon teriyaki at a Japanese restaurant. Or, oh, look, it's, it's Mexican food, or it's this, or it's Indian food today, or then we did Thai food. But like coming here and living here, to be able to live here, and make sense and jibe, you know what I mean? And be compatible. Everything just gets blended up, by like one or two generations. Not really. Some might argue that and say, no, some people can. I don't really see that. I just kind of see this place as like the culture. It pretty much just gets diluted to a point to where you're not really living the substance of the culture. It's just more like, shout outs to it, just surface level stuff like, oh yeah, I know this language. But there's no way. But yeah, so that's interesting. I don't know if that's what they're talking about, but that's an interesting thing. Why do these goofballs wear those thick glasses? It looks so weird. I don't know. I think they're like Bay Area tech people. So it kind of gives off that, like, that's my guess. They seem like these Bay Area tech hoity-toity types. So it gives off this sort of, just like I'm a startup sort of tech guy or something. I have no idea if they work in tech. It seems like it. They look like these Bay Area types that I'm used to seeing here where I'm at. From that lens, it makes it so clear that the end goals of feminism, blank slate and other horsemen of globalization. If dowry protected women from divorce or death of her husband, why does the feminist groups hate it so much? Well, when Michael, when you look at the newspaper articles from back then, as romantic chivalry takes over and the love match takes over, people in England aren't really saving dowries for their daughters. And in the articles, they're talking about how, the women are basically using that as an excuse to advance the women's movement, to say, if you're not going to give us dowries, at least give us education so we can take care of ourselves in case we lose this game of love, which a lot of people do. You know what I mean? So that whole discussion, as they're moving away from dowry, is entangled in what was called the women's movement back then. Some of that stuff I read, it seems like it's a convenient thing, basically, to say, so it helped justify them, pushing for those changes and all that kind of thing. And back then, women did work. They would be working prior to their marriage, saving for the dowry alongside their family. Like, the whole family's working together to save for this dowry for this woman, this daughter. And women who were, from poorer classes, they would be working and saving money. And in some places, formally, they would be given a job and they wouldn't be paid until they're done with until they were getting married, and then they would receive a dowry lump sum. So they had these programs enmeshed in there. It's actually really interesting. If early 40s is old, how did I manage to get into Discord? Shout out to Klaus, man. Our resident old timer, along with Timmy Kramer, I think, too. Shout out to Timmy Kramer. I'm on that Discord now. Yo, just click on Tavern and scroll up and just see the images. Mr. Pitt says, don't knock thick glasses. They're hot on women. Some chicks with the glasses, man, do look very attractive, man. There's a woman, like, the glasses look definitely gets me sometimes. The thick glasses is interesting, but like those really like big frames, something about them. It's got this kind of nerdy, sort of studious look. Interesting. Thick glasses screams Karen to me.
I think a huge part of this is switching costs.
Yeah.
I think that's why it.
So
I think a huge part of this is switching costs.
Yeah.
I think that's why it develops so frequently as a practice, because you're much less likely to get divorced or go off and try to marry multiple people if you have to pay a bunch of money to do it.
We'll get to that, but
so
Well, and they're also invested. I mean, we saw our article from Italy a couple weeks ago or last week, whatever it was. Woman. Dang, I can't remember where it saved it. I wanted to bring it up here. I just got so many things. The notes are getting crazy on this, man. The notes really are getting crazy. Where's my Italian one? I showed it to you guys last week. I know I did. I don't even know where I saved it at this point. But it was about 1970 Italy when they actually allowed divorce, and then these old dowry laws were causing issues for it because there was an argument, to be made that if the woman basically engaged in adultery, that she's forfeiting her dowry. And which is a thing too, especially if they have kids, you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, if you're going to run off, like, you're giving this up. In the last paragraph, so, let's read the whole thing. When Italy finally legalized divorce in December 1970, there remained the problem of the dowry. This is written in 1972, I believe. I got to look that up again. The dowry, or goods and money which the bride brings into a marriage, is firmly established in Italian law. The state civil code contains 32 articles defining the amount, use, and title to the dowry, everything except its disposition in case of divorce. Arguing that a man could divorce his wife and still keep her dowry, Italy's Senate recently decided to abolish the age-old dowry tradition outright. The act was favored, needless to say, by Italy's liberated young women who considered the dowry a price on their heads and a hostage to their fidelity. Under the old laws, you see adulterous women forfeited all claims to their dowries. See that? So even prior to divorce, I mean, there were still laws that regulated how the dowry could be used and this kind of thing. People could still probably get separated and be in two different houses. But if somebody did do something like that, their investment into this enterprise could get forfeited. So this is an incentive to, like, stay monogamous. You know what I mean? How are you going to branch swing if you don't have a dowry to go branch swing with? Why would the person on the receiving end of the branch swing want to get married to you if they could command a better dowry somewhere else? Like, there's just so many things out here. You know what I mean? It's like either you're going to be community property, you're going to end up in the building that starts the B behind the tavern. It's just going to be, you know, maybe some type of like thing outside of marriage. But like, why get, you know, why would they marry you? Yo, shout out Raymond Thoughts in Mind, our brother, Raymond Thoughts in Mind. Raymond, man, I hope you're doing well. I watch your videos every morning. I wake up as I'm getting ready for work and I'm making breakfast, man. I got my cell phone with me and I'm playing the daily Raymond Thoughts in Mind video. And I do, you know, try to catch your streams when I can. I am shadow watching, not all the time, you know, admittedly, but when I can, man. So it's a blessing to have you in here. Why not play this on the CRT, Shah? Man, I do want to do my after show. What I'm thinking about doing is, so my chair is over there. And I'm thinking about setting a camera up on the chair and then another camera on the TV right here, and then putting another microphone right here. And then we can do an after show where folks who want to stick around, we can play retro games, or we can watch like old episodes of The Simpsons, which I'm hoping they won't find out we're, you know, just because it's on a, yeah, anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, we could just play retro video games. We got the PlayStation 2 right there. It could be a thing, you know what I mean? I'd love to do CRT streams, man. It would be pretty sweet. So, you know, shout out to the CRT, man. Hopefully it can work out. We should start a thick glasses theory. Thick glass theories, which way would that go? Listen, I'll take thick glasses before I take those long, like really weird fake nails that aren't proportional with the finger. So crazy. I don't know. To me, glasses are always the SMV detractor. I mean, you know, everybody's got their preferences. Sometimes, like, if you're into that, like, sort of nerdy chick, I think a lot of guys are. You like that look. It can be, something about it could be quite charming. Don DeMarco says, oh, this chick, damn, Shaw, your digital footprint is in no way misogynist. Okay, yeah, you just saw the screenshots. Pearl can maybe be accused of it just from passing comments, but you aren't exactly like Tate. Absolutely not, man. And there's been plenty of times where we've had discussions about the rage phase and, you know, people sort of just making content for the rage stuff. And all, like, that's not what we're interested over here. We're not going back in time over here. Like, we're not sitting here. Like, that's never been a thing that, like, I'm too worried about or that it should be this or should be that. We're talking about history. We're looking forward. Whatever it is, but it's just like this person was just on a witch hunt because they just couldn't handle it. You know what I mean? They just couldn't handle the cleanness. You know what I'm saying? They just couldn't handle the sharpness. They just couldn't handle the amazingness. They just couldn't imagine how much gaming was going on over here. You know what I'm saying? And they just couldn't take it anymore, man. They messed up. That's just how it be. Like the you know what I mean? She just couldn't handle it. Coffee and Joy says, gee, Shaw with the camera angles. I try, man. It's just a webcam. I have another camera literally right here. It's a little bit cheaper, but that would be good. That would be good for the CRT. And then maybe I can move this camera and face it to the chair, put a different lens on it. So we'll get the chair shot. And then basically we're just hanging out. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think it could be fun, you know, for folks who want to stay with the after show, because that's what I do. Like, honestly, man, after I finish a 5-hour stream, like, I do want to just kind of sit down for a bit. Shaw with the big brother angles. Oh, man, chilling in Shaw's crib. Yo, one thing I'm embarrassed about, bro, is that, oh no, we got an infinite regress. Is literally, like, this carpet choice. And let me tell you, bro, like, when I was kind of getting this room done out, I was just buying like one piece at a time with like every paycheck, man. And carpets were hella expensive. Like, I wish I could have got a nice Persian rug in here, but I just couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And like I got this thing from Costco and I was just like, I just want to put it over the tile. And like, I got so much furniture over it now, like it would be a real operation to get it out. So it's like, this view's all weird because it shows like this weird choice of carpet, but you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the carpet. Anyways, oh, I saw Base FCZ in here. Base, if Shaw is a misogynist, then I'm a skinwalker. Thank you, Base. I appreciate that, man. It's a blessing to have you in here. I hope you're doing well, man. Man, Base's videos, like, I get cravings for like Base's videos. Like I swear I was thinking about Base and I was like, man, did Base put out another video yet? I need to listen to something. You know what I mean? So waiting patiently. Forgive me, Base. Please take your time, but waiting patiently for my next Base video so I can listen to that as I'm doing various tasks around the house. Great to have you in here, Base. Thank you so much, man. I'll take thick glasses before thick legs and all that. Yeah. I found the same thing on my study. Women didn't want dowry because it prevented a woman from divorcing her husband for abuse or falling out of love. Families got mad if they invested a lot of money. Yeah, same thing with bride price too, because now divorce was more common in bride price societies. From what I've read, polygyny and divorce are a little bit more of a thing there. But, you know, there is something about like having to pay the bride price back, so that could cause, you know, an issue there. So it just adds a little bit more glue to this whole thing, you know. I'll take a mute chick over thick glasses or long. The long fingernails gotta go. They really do. So anyways, getting back to this. Deadbeat woman. Man, Base didn't hear deadbeat woman, but we'll play it again. Deadbeat woman.
Gets the family involved. So it's not just that money was attached to this. It's that like your mom and your dad and maybe your
and grandma and maybe even grandpa too.
Grandparents and maybe even your broader like family has contributed to your marriage like happening financially, and they're going to be pissed if you cheat or you know, are a bad spouse or you screw it up somehow. And like, I think that pressure is really good. And we need to have parents become more involved in their kids' matchmaking anyway. Plus, in many of these traditions, the money actually goes to the couple and gives them a nest egg, which is one of those.
This is the conjugal fund or the conjugal estate. And the other half of this discussion is inheritance, right? And then how the importance of inheritance and threading wealth down throughout the generations. The dowry being a pre-mortem inheritance. Deadbeat woman.
Like sort of sticking points these days where, you know, couples feel like, well, I can't get married. I can't start a family because I don't have, you know, I can't buy a house. I can't do money. And one of the more common forms of dowries and bride prices is indeed property, is most commonly money. This is the stuff that can really get a family started. So I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah. Well, so first, just to clarify.
Property is a big part of it, especially depending on the wealth of the family. Especially when it comes to things like a house. And then, yeah, you know, especially more like it could be cash also, gold, just different kinds of things of value, depending. When it came to bride prices could be different. This is where you get your this many, you know, head of a certain kind of cattle. Sometimes it was a very, you know, specific kind that was used, like a specific currency is kind of chosen to be used for bride price. So that's where you saw, you know, a lot of that. But you could even see maybe different forms of animal and livestock, even as part of a dowry too. So not completely out of there. Base says, oh, Shah, my new video is up right now. You'll be good to go tomorrow morning. Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. See, now I'm excited. Sunday morning is going to be pretty good. And if for any of you guys out there that haven't seen Base's channel, please check out Base's channel. I mean, he needs no help or introduction from me, but I guarantee you'll like the content. Okay.
For those who are not very familiar with bride prices or dowries are what parents of a woman, like a young lady, will pay to the husband's family or the...
More formally speaking, it's not paying to the husband's family, because that would be more properly called the groom price. It is it is her wealth, it is her property. And we know this going all the way up to ancient Athens. Looking up at the law codes, there are certain rights, the rights of usufruct, which the husband has over the dowry. There are certain things, you know, he can and can't do. All right. You can't just freaking go and gamble it all away tomorrow. You know, so the woman has this kind of final veto if it's getting out of turn, but the husband has some right to have use of the dowry, especially for setting up a business or something like that. So it's not going to... Now, in some marriage contracts, you can maybe see that like grandpa on the dad's side maybe is making some decisions about how the dowry is used. But technically, it's the daughter's pre-mortem inheritance, meaning the parents haven't passed away yet. She's leaving her family, and she is now going into the other family. So they're giving her portion of their wealth, which in the form of her dowry, and then it goes into the new marriage, and that ends her claim on any of that family's wealth. That's where on the other end you see sons get inheritance, right? Now, you know, feminists are so short-sighted. They're going to be like, would you see all these sons ever inherited and the daughters didn't? But daughters were getting an inheritance the whole time in the form of the dowry. Okay, so that's how that works. So it's not like the bride price where you're paying a price to her family, not to her, but to her family. A dowry is not going to his family. It's going to her. She is becoming married to him, and it's created a conjugal fund or conjugal estate that these two are now making decisions with. Okay, and so the dowry amount is important because once you get married to her, this is going to determine, you know, what can happen in terms of what your ability is going to be. Deadbeat woman.
The husband for basically marrying off family, or the husband for, like, a young lady will pay to the husband's family, or the husband for basically marrying off their daughter. Bride prices are...
So, yeah, I just, a little bit with the language, like, I just felt like a little of this had to be ironed. Like, some of the wrinkles out of what they're saying need to be ironed.
What grooms' families or grooms pay for brides. And the difference...
that language, pay for brides, I know Michael Sayin agrees with it. Most anthropologists do not. And that's why, you know, they did change it to bride wealth. But yeah, whatever. Okay, pay. I mean, you know, whatever. We can live with it.
In when there's a bride price or a dowry comes down to some interesting factors. And just to be clear, most pay for brides. And the difference in when there's a bride price or a dowry comes down to some interesting factors. And just to be clear, most cultures practice bride prices. Dowries are actually pretty unusual.
See, that's wrong. That's categorically wrong. If she's talking nowadays, maybe. If she's talking historically, then it's wrong. And we just went over why that's wrong, because the dowry practicing societies comprised, you know, most of the population. So I hope she, maybe if you looked at it like just now, but even then it's like, let me see, where's my economics and right here. All right, see, you see that right here? Conversely, dowry occurs in less than 4% of the sample. However, in terms of population numbers, dowry has played a more significant role because the convention of dowry has occurred mainly in Europe and Asia, where more than 70% of the world's population resides. So, you know, if she means maybe today, I don't know, maybe, but just to clarify that.
But I actually think that based bride prices, dowries are actually pretty unusual. But
and especially not historically.
Think that based on the criteria that we're going to go over, that maybe dowries are what more developed countries should be considering.
Okay, so, I mean, either she hasn't done a deep dive into this stuff, like, but yeah, the dowry system is going to be associated with more complex societies. And it's kind of a clue. Like, ancient Athens was doing the dowry, and they gave us Plato, and they gave us, you know, all this different, you know, math stuff, geometry, and all these kinds of things, as opposed to kind of like some Near Eastern cultures that were still doing bride price. Even in the language, there's this interesting guy I like to watch named Dr. Ammon Hillman. Michael Knowles did a thing on him, but he likes to point out that ancient Hebrew had like 7,000 words versus like, God, I don't know, I think it was like a couple 100,000 or something for Greek. And Greek is the more sophisticated and the more complex culture. You would also see this then in India, who are also practicing dowry for a long time. So societies that have dowry, typically, you know, private property rights, there's income stratification, you know what I mean? And then you're going to see monogamy also. You're going to see, you know, with income stratification, there's going to be people who own a lot of land. There's going to be people who own some land. There's going to be people who own very little land or no land. Okay, so there's differences there. And then what really determined it also was the labor value of a man versus the labor value of a woman. So this is why the plow is important, because typically men handled the plow because it required a lot of burst strength. You got these two giant animals on either side of it. You got this giant hook going like 1.5 or 2 feet into the earth, and you're trying to push this thing in a straight line and keep this thing centered. And you can plow a lot of land compared to what they were doing in bride price societies with digging sticks and hoes. You know, Land typically wasn't a big deal in bride price societies because there was usually enough land because a human could only till so much land to grow food on. When the plow came in, now property is like a lot more important because one guy can manage to get a bunch of land. You can get acres taken care of. All right, so you're more concerned about land holdings. It's going to be probably harder to get land. You can't just walk over here and say, all right, nobody's doing anything over here. Let me do something there. So it's different. So when we come back to our society, well, yeah, we have property rights. We have income stratification. Tradcons are trying to sell monogamy if that's what they want. So we're concerned about property transmission. We don't want the divorce to happen. But the difference is in the labor value of the man versus the woman. So now we have all these air conditioning jobs, these remote jobs, whatever the job happens to be. Now, men are still doing very important jobs, but women have plenty of jobs that give their labor value something that's different than what they were able to do before because of the technology we have. So that is a determining factor, and that's why gold pill is important, because we're not going the technology X factor here has changed women's labor value in the market. So that's the thing I think that we're trying to contend with. Shout out to oikophobic misanthrope. Thanks for being in here. Good evening. Shout out to you. I like your name there. Interesting name. Anyways.
So bride prices are more common in polygynous cultures where you have multiple wives.
Polygynous. She said polygamous, but yeah, we get it. It's an umbrella term, polygynous cultures though.
Versus dowries, where it's more common to be in monogamous cultures where there's a scarcity of wealthy women. And then bride prices, in contrast, they're more common where like manual labor is valued over capital. So they're more like rural.
She doesn't understand the distinction between the plow, but whatever.
Pastoral, agricultural, and where women's labor is really crucial for the family survivor.
Is really crucial for agriculture. Women make up the larger contribution to agriculture proper, is what she means. I think is what she means, but that's what it is.
So you're paying for women because they're rare and you really need them.
You're paying for women because her family is losing her labor value. You're gaining on that deal. So you're paying them a commensurate amount. And this is why it's not selling daughters, because the bride, you have to pay that family enough money to procure another daughter for somebody else in their family, right? You're taking away her labor value. So you're saying, here's this money so that you can then reacquire the labor value through another woman. So the price has to be set in a way that makes it uniform across, so you have a circulating fund. So you pay the bride price. That family is now holding on to one equivalent bride price that they could then use to procure another marriage for somebody else in their family, and then reinstate the health of that family.
And you're kind of desperate to get wives.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, when I think about where dowries are more often paid, they're like in like wealthy medieval European nobility, right?
It's not just wealthy medieval European nobility. It's also medieval European peasantry.
Where like the girls are not out working a farm and you're getting into monogamous relationships.
Yeah.
You're really sort of paying for the monogamy.
Yeah. And where bride prices are most common now are still in Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa. And that's because the plow never really took off there. There could be other, there's reasons for that. It has a lot to do, I think, with geography, the type of soil there, just the certain types of cattle, just maybe, like this is from what I've read. And it's tough to have a kind of everything theory on everything, but it's like they didn't have certain environmental factors that would make the plow kind of take off in that way. So they were kind of still doing bride price there for a long time. I think nowadays with advances in agricultural technology, maybe that's more of a thing that they can do. I'm not sure, but historically some of this, has to do with it. And then also what kind of crops you can grow, and stuff like this in the environment. So those are things, worth looking at.
For the most part, like they're super pervasive in Africa.
I had an African friend who told me about a wedding she went to when we were in college together, and she went down for a wedding. And she said what they would do is they would lay out all of the things they had bought as a bride price in front of all the wedding guests. Right?
Oh, you show it off.
All the wedding guests get to go up and look and inspect to see like how much like nice fabric.
It's setting the cost. This is the status. Now they would do this with the dowry also. People know how much the dowry amount was. You have to know because the dowry amount is telling the rest of the community where you are in the hierarchy. It's saying our family is here. This is the dowry amount we gave for our daughter. Our son here, therefore, expects a commensurate dowry. This is the class we are firmly in. Bride price, it would also be necessary too, because they need to make sure it matches the sort of uniformity. There's very little variance in the bride wealth, to use the proper term, there. So it would have to be shown that like this is what it is, but especially for dowry, because this is the class differentiator. So
fabric was this woman worth? Like that's one of the big things she said is you'd have like just
because in some cases
fabric.
Traditional clothing is given, jewelry, gold.
I shared the stream of the Honey Badger. Did Allison get a hold of you? I saw she was asking about you on your Discord. On my Discord? Oh, I hope I didn't miss that. I did speak with her, though. I spoke with her. I also spoke with her co-host, and we do have something set up. So that's coming real soon, man. I promise. I'm going to let y'all know as soon as that happens. I don't think it's live, actually. I'm not even sure if it's live or not. I think it might be pre-recorded. It could be live. So we'll see.
Animals, etc. And so the guests could go up and inspect the things that were given for the bride price, which is actually a quite fun thing to do at a wedding, and quite a like in your face flex, so you can't really cheat it, right? Like
yes, and it's the status signal, but for the dowry specifically,
you have to put it on the table, and everyone gets to see it.
They could even be conflating the two right now, but I'm not sure.
The son are gonna be like, Mom, Dad, I'm gonna look very bad in front of her entire family if you don't put this stuff up there. Like it's not handled in secret.
Well, I mean, it's still functionally done, I think, in many modern Western weddings where they just like blow money on the party. I'd rather end up with like really nice stuff that you can use as a new couple.
Yeah, I agree with that. Blowing money on the wedding is just like, that's a big waste of time, honestly. Like, you know, that kind of goes into your romantic chivalry. It's her special day, and oh my God, look how beautiful she is, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't serve the purpose of the dowry, which is to create a conjugal fund, conjugal estate. Instead, it all just gets blown. I mean, the wedding industry is another like kind of thing out here that's just juicing people's nest eggs. Now, you know, we talk a lot about that with family law, of course, when the divorce happens, but like the wedding industry and like what people are paying for this and all that kind of stuff, or what the sort of expectations around that are, like they're going to spend all that money when they can put that money into like their house and get their future set up. Kind of like what she's mentioned here. Shout out to her for that.
Yeah, instead of blowing it on the party to show how good it is. And I think that's like a form
and what that comes from too is like blowing it on the party is it's a kind of fake keeping up with the Joneses mentality. It's like, hey, we know weddings have historically been used through the dowry to status signal. So let's look how great our wedding was. We're saying we're in higher class, but then there's no dowry. It doesn't translate over into their post-marriage life. So they know marriage is supposed to be a status signal. They don't know why it's supposed to be a status signal and how this plays in with the rest of the marriage market. So it just becomes this kind of holdover, you know, as the love matches kind of come in and hollowed out marriage.
Of a bride price that still exists, because remember the woman's parents are often expected to pay for the wedding.
Yeah.
Right in Western culture.
Yes, the man's parents pay for the rehearsal.
Bride price that still exists, because remember, show how good it is, and I think that's like a form of
the party. I'd rather end up with like really nice stuff that you can use as a new couple.
Yeah, instead of blowing it on the party to show how good it is. And I think that's like a form of a bride price that still exists, because remember the woman's parents are often...
He's conflating bride price, but I think he's trying to say it's a form of the dowry that still exists. But her parents paying for a wedding for her does not serve the functional purpose of a dowry.
Expected to pay for the wedding.
Yeah.
Right in Western culture.
Yes, the man's parents pay for the rehearsal dinner, and the woman's parents pay for the wedding. I think
which is akin to a bride price, given how much.
Not a bride price. Again, I mean, it would be dowry. I get what he's trying to say, But again, it still does not serve the function.
Weddings and costs. But if you're talking about actual like bride prices in Western cultures that you keep referring to, what she's referencing here is the frequency in Silicon Valley and rationalist and tech elite culture of marriage bounties.
Yeah, so I can give you one.
So yeah, see, I think they are like tech people because they're talking about like Silicon Valley, and they're going to talk about this interesting thing called marriage bounties, and people are paying. They're saying if you help me get married, like you'll get like, you know, some amount of money. It's kind of an interesting thing. Let me just hit up with the chat real quick before we get into this marriage bounty discussion. Deadbeat woman. Sorry, I dipped. All good, brother, man. You take your time, bro. It's all good. We're just out here hanging out. Did y'all join the Simone and Malcolm Collins Discord? Awesome. Glad to hear it. Oh, gosh, man. How many of these did I... Michael Sain says, I believe a woman is to stay at home. She stayed at her father's home, then she transferred to the husband's home. Only if divorced or a widow did a woman live on her own, then this caused the bride price. Okay. I think collaborating with them and sharing your knowledge on this topic would be epic. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd definitely like to have the discussion with them and hear what they got to say and share what I can, man. I'm just trying to share it with people, really. Talut Bora said, yeah, it should be a small ceremony with close friends and family members. Shout out to Talut. Bruteman. Hey, welcome in, Bruteman. Good to see you, man. Hey, Shaw, I've officially entered the chat. What a fascinating topic today. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to see you in here, Bruteman. And I'm glad you're in here hanging out with us today. We are having fun with this topic. Mad Villainy says her college tuition is better spent as a dowry. Yeah, I mean, that was basically the transition, right? It's this, do we want to get her married or do we want to get her some kind of work certification? The problem is like, if you're going to choose a college degree that doesn't translate into a good career, then maybe it's better to like use that money they saved up for her college and secure a better marriage for her. She'll be more attractive in the marriage market. And then if she wants to join the workforce later, maybe when the kids are older, then that's an option. It just depends what's more important to them. Back then, I mean, listen, if you're able to get a good job and good career, then that's a choice they want to make. But if you're gonna just choose something and it's not really gonna translate into something that makes good money, then you know you want to think about what you're doing, especially as life gets tougher. And if you want people to marry younger, then this is the way to do it. So yeah, I mean, God, and then there's people like, you know, there's people taking out the student loans, of course. That's a huge topic lately with I think the payments coming back in. And you have a woman that has a degree that's not very marketable, and you have a large student loan debt attached to that. What does that do for her prospects in the marriage market? Now, you might find some guy who's under the love spell because he hasn't figured it out yet, but you know, it doesn't bode well for a good marriage. Talut says that money doesn't transcend into marriage life. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't. Bride price also prevented women from divorcing her husband. That is why societies that did bride price allowed men to marry in polygamy. Women couldn't leave for adultery. It's not just that. It's also when a bride price is transferred to one family, if, you know, they can procure a wife for one of the sons, but if there is no free son to marry, then they could procure a second wife for them because they're holding on to this bride price amount. So I think that's a factor too, but that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Dutchy says, now I will say anthropologically, higher divorce rates are associated with polygynous societies. That's what I've seen in there. Dutchy says weddings are as effective a status signal as Instagram, so many people finance everything they own. Yeah, it's interesting going to weddings and seeing that, you know. At the end of the day, bride price system only applies for high economical status men. But, you know, to be honest, bro, like someone like Andrew Tate, he's not paying a bride price. Like he's buying concubines, but he's not even buying concubines. He's just paying for these women to live somewhere and have some money and to buy their Gucci bags and, you know, I don't know, have their mocha lattes or something in the morning. If Andrew Tate was paying a bride price, the money would go to their family and then that family would procure another wife for one of the sons in the family. He's not doing that. The reason there's less income stratification in a bride price paying society is because the more brides one procures, the more wealth you've had to put into the rest of the society. Okay. What you see with high status men now is you see a kind of hogging of just, you know, these concubine-esque women, because I won't call them wives. They're concubines. And yeah, I did say concubine and Paul Elam. I know that. But I also want to give a shout out to Matt Cross because I like Matt Cross. And he made a term called alpha concubine. He has a channel called 33 Secrets. Anyways, yeah, so what he's doing is he's just essentially buying slave women. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, I'm sorry. But that's what he's doing, right? I mean, what is a concubine anyways? But he's not even really buying them because who is he paying the money to? It's not going to their family. It's just going to her. It's just what he's doing is just paying for female narcissism, frankly. So it's not even a marriage transaction. It may as well just be pay for play. And this is the same Andrew Tate that like goes on Twitter and talks about how like when the money dries up, there's no such thing as female loyalty. So it's just like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you can be Andrew Tate, I guess. And just like, well, you know, it's just as soon as the money is gone, doesn't even matter if you're Andrew Tate, then so be. I don't even know if I could pull up one of these tweets right now, but I've seen them. I've seen these tweets before. Here we go. Look right here. February 23rd. From Andrew Tate, female loyalty means nothing. You're paying her bills. Of course she's loyal. Stop paying her bills and see how quickly her feelings change, right? Like that's the that's the high value guy right there, right? You know what I mean? So it's just about paying everything for her. You know what I'm saying? It's not a true bride price. Oh, I'm trying to say. Shout out to Touloute. Thank you for that, Touloute Boro. You're a legend, man. I appreciate you. I'm at work. I'll be listening, but I'll be doing my work thing. No worries, man. I appreciate you keeping me on while you're at work, man. I hope work goes good for you. Sometimes it's nice to have somebody talking in the background that you kind of just go in and out of as you're doing your work task there. So blessings to you and the workday there. Touloute says, while dowry system applies for middle and poor class men, you mean like as far as nowadays goes? Yeah, but just to understand, it's really a concubinage system. Since bride price is the norm, old men married young women. Typically with bride price, the age of marriage was a lot younger. Compared to dowry societies. But I mean, compared to now, it's like both of them are younger compared to now. Now it's like, you know, people are lucky if they make this happen by 27. Young men cannot afford the bride price also. Yeah, that's why you might see their family pay a bride price and then, you know, they get their wife that way or their first wife. Wedding industrial complex exists because bottom rung of the population is led to believe that consumerism is the sign of progress. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a complete psyop, man. I mean, I don't know if psyop's the right word. It's really just like really good marketing propaganda. It is, like you say, consumerism. And keeping up with the Joneses, and people want to, you know, put out that people want to signal status, you know, but it doesn't mean they actually have that status. As we get into this tougher economy, you know, the thing about especially American society is people really wanted to believe that we didn't live in a society that had classes in it. People wanted to believe that, like, because we have equal rights in the eyes of the law, that we were equal in like every way. But as life has become harder, you know, things have become more expensive, certain realities are affecting people. It's becoming very clear that, no, yes, there is classes here, whether you like it or not. Especially things like Instagram, where people are kind of fronting on there and flexing and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, this keeping up with Jones's mentality, like for people who are going to weather this storm, which is, you know, practically almost here, I would say. I don't want to be, you know, predicting things, but it's looking like it's going to be pretty tough out there. It has been for millennials, you know, in terms of like house buying and Gen Z and all that kind of stuff. I think people who put some of this stuff into practice, this historical way of doing things, at least some aspects of it, will probably have a better shot of weathering the storm. Shout out to you, Karen. I'm glad you're in here today, man. It's good to see you. Oikophobic misanthrope. I want to go to plumbing trade school. I don't know if I can get it paid for. My sis raised me, but I wasn't ready for college when I got out of high school. I hear you, man. Well, shout out to your sister for raising you, man. Good on her, man. Do something nice for your sister, man. Tate is a plant to make MGTOW look bad. Yeah, I mean, he definitely serves that purpose. I mean, you know, it's definitely a convenient thing for the folks who don't like, you know, guys that are discussing this stuff. I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna have to, let's just get back to this. I'll get back to the
example. I was thinking about reading off some more like private marriage bounties. In fact, even there are people who listen to this podcast who have open marriage bounties out.
Yeah,
they're extremely common. And
so they're talking about a thing that the rich elite in Silicon Valley do, and they're doing this thing called marriage bounties.
I think they're a great idea. They also allow, they're typically marriage bounties as practiced by people in or adjacent to the effective altruist or rationalist communities who are pervasive in these circles throughout Europe and the United States. They put up the bounties themselves. New York Times has done articles about them. Both men and women put them up. Typically they range from like $10,000 to $100,000. I decided I wasn't going to read any of the more like, personal ones, but Ayla has recently put out a $100,000 marriage bounty, and
women are out here paying $100,000 to help them get married. That's interesting.
Put it very publicly on her Substack, so I feel like we can talk about
Your dowry, it's my right.
What's the dowry situation?
Exactly.
Let's get down to brass tacks here.
Which one of these broads has the richest father?
Yeah.
That's a very
see that it's like trying to lock down for monogamy.
Like bride price. Like that's not a trivial.
Her Substack, so I feel like we can talk about that.
That's a very public bride price. Like
that's technically, again, functionally speaking, it's not a bride price. Really, what they're doing is they're paying for a matchmaker. So they're paying for a matchmaker's services. I think it would be more akin to that.
That's not a trivial sum.
And matchmakers were like a thing back in the day. They were big.
100,000, and I've seen other for 10,000, 100,000, 50,000. This is the price range that you typically get.
Yeah, and here's how it's presented, because I think the way she presents it is fairly representative of what they look like in terms of a cultural custom within this community today. She wrote, "I have a 100,000 bounty on my marriage. If you introduce me to someone who I end up marrying, I'll pay you 100K upon marriage. Here are some details. 1, they shouldn't already be on my radar as someone I might be interested in. 2, you must make the intro explicitly in the context of, this is for your bounty. If I casually meet them at a party this doesn't count. 3, send me a small blurb of why you picked them and why you think we'd get along. 4, you have to be the first person to make the recommendation. If things hit this part way, like maybe it's a gray area on how much of an acquaintance that person was to me before, or if I'd already had the intention of asking them out."
Such a funny Bay Area thing. I'm sorry. I just, I go to the Bay Area every now and then, and, I talk with the people there. Man, there's this heck of funny guy on Instagram that's so hilarious to me. And I always send it to one of my buddies, because I'm kind of making fun of him because he's my finance buddy that went to New York and did all that, he was, JP this and all this other stuff. And he totally talks like that, private equity. But there's this guy on Instagram that makes fun of it all day, and it's so funny. And I gotta find he does all these rich guys from different places, but he has one on San Francisco, and it's so funny to me. Because I've ran into these San Francisco finance guys. He's got the Miami, look at this, man. He's got the Boston edition, the Miami edition. And it's just, I have to find the San Francisco one. I'm sorry, guys. We can't move on till he's got Pebble Beach. Fan-freaking-tastic, man. All right, let me see. Newport Beach. All right, let me see if I can find, what's this called? San Francisco. I like this guy. His name is Johnny Hilbrand. JOHNNYHILBRANT. Damn, man. Come on, man. Where's San Francisco? Oh, here it is. SF edition. Yes.
Ew. Very cool. Oh, yeah. No, this is our favorite cafe. Oh, yeah. My wife loves the matcha here. The kids love the scones. I'm so into the nitro cold brew. It's so sick. You got to try it, man. Yeah. Oh, no. We're in Marin now. Yeah. We're out here. Yeah. Oh, no. We love it, man. It made sense, after the IPO. Yeah. We needed a 3-car garage. So we got a couple cars and a Rivian. And my wife she wanted to be closer to Cavallo Point for her lymphatic drainage sessions. Yeah. So she's also big into Osmosis Spa. They've got this insane cedar enzyme bath. Oh, you gotta try it, man. It's so sick. Price point is steep, but it's worth every single penny, man. Yeah. Yeah, she's actually got me into Pilates too, which is crazy. Great workout. Yeah. No, I'm still crushing miles on my road bike though, every day. Yeah, man, it's so sick. Yeah, when I can find the time, because, you know, I'm in private equity now. Yeah, the money's pretty decent. Yeah, it's pretty substantial, actually. Yeah. But no, we're looking at property in Maui. No, we still have the condo in Pacific Heights.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I'm telling you, like, it's really what it's like. Like, when you're talking to these people, it's so funny.
We maintain that property for founders events, founders dinners, things like that. Yeah. And my wife likes to come into town, and she'll do sound bath with some of her girls who are still in the city. Yeah. So I was in tech for years. Yeah, or if you remember. Yeah, early at Snowflake. Yep. Pre-IPO at Databricks. Yep. And eventually I realized I was underwriting the vision without taking the carry. So it made sense to pivot to PE for me, private equity. So, now I spend my time turning founder chaos into scalable infrastructure. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally, man. Soup to nuts. Exactly. So, no, yeah, the funds out of the Presidio now. Yeah, the office used to be military.
Like, a lot of these spots he's talking about are like these very like swank spots in the Bay Area or like San Francisco. It's just funny. It's like when you meet somebody like this.
Installation. Yeah. So now it's where we run due diligence on Series A founders who accidentally created 9-figure platforms. Oops, am I right? Yeah, but no, the money's insane. No, it's so sick. Yeah. Oh no, we're at the Olympic Club.
You guys ever meet a guy like this before?
Yeah, mostly. But I do maintain social membership at the San Francisco Golf Club, just to stay plugged in. Yeah. Actually played golf there with a guy who, you might know him. He just exited to Google. Yeah, good hands around the green. Awesome guy, man. Yeah, well, anyway, where are you guys? Oh, you're renting in Bayview. Well, that's Well, good for you guys. Awesome, man. Great chat. Good to see you. Awesome. Hey, man.
He can't like hide his disgust. Like, he's just so rich. We got to look at one of these. Come on, guys. Let's look at one more, guys. Come on. All right, we got Miami edition. Okay, that could be good. Damn, Miami edition actually seems kind of... Ooh, Los Angeles. I might go back to Miami. Ooh, due to my role. Denver, Houston, Ireland, Oregon, Baltimore. Newport Beach might be kind of funny, too. You know what? Let's just do Miami edition. Let's see what the Miami folks are on. A lot of these people are the same people, too, because they just go traveling around.
Oh, no, my wife loves Jet Set Pilates. Oh, she goes all the time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yours, too? Oh, very cool. Small world. I wonder if they know each other. Awesome. Oh, you're in crypto. Okay, very cool. Yeah, I'm in PE, private equity. Yeah, it's awesome, man. Very cool. So you guys, do you belong to... Oh, you belong to Fisher Island Club. Very cool. Us too. Well, that's so crazy. I haven't seen you there ever. Interesting. We'll have to connect. We'll have to play golf. What's your handicap? Oh, okay. Just a little bit better than mine. Okay, awesome. Yeah. And how long have you been in Miami for? Oh, 20 years. Very cool. Well, we just moved here during COVID. Yeah. It's just crazy to me that we ever lived in New York City, You
know what? Mr. Kevin says Atlanta. Yo, Mr. Kevin, shout out to you, man. We're going to Atlanta right after this.
I mean, there's parking here. There's sunshine. Nobody bats an eye when I order a mezcal neat. You know what I mean? It's just a better way of life, bro. It's so sick. Yeah, so we started out with the short-term rental to see if we liked it down here. We're in Sunset Harbor. Yeah, it turned into a pretty substantially sized estate, if I'm being honest. Yeah, in Indian Creek. Yeah, so not to get into the number, all
right, this one's not as funny as San Francisco, but let's check out Atlanta for Kevin there, man. Damn, where the hell was Atlanta? Oh man. Okay, I think it was probably up here. SF, Dallas, DC. Oh man. Okay, Atlanta.
Oh, did you say East Atlanta? That's where you live in East Atlanta. Interesting. I think one of our night nurses or nannies lives there. Maybe it was an Uber driver I had last week. Curious. We're in Buckhead. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. We absolutely love it. Wife's family's from here, so we moved on a few years ago. Her dad's at Truist Bank. He's really, really high up there. And her grandfather's a legend here, so everybody knows him. Yeah, and I'm in PE, private equity. Yeah, and I'm a partner in my firm. So, and I, getting into the numbers is
God, partner at the firm. Yeah, they'll let you know.
so tacky, but these are bonuses that are affording us multiple properties. And we're just absolutely crushing it right now. So, hate to get into the numbers, so I won't. But yeah, I'm a huge golfer, as you can tell. Yeah, just got off the course, actually, at Ansley. Yeah, we're members there. So, great course. So sick. Yeah, oh, and really fast greens. It's the best. Yeah, we love it. Yep, and vacation, Sea Island. Yep, all the time. My wife's dad actually helped her.
Damn, like, see, if I knew it more about Atlanta, like, I know anybody from Atlanta is gonna find this hilarious.
Grandfather built a bunker years ago, kind of for the end of the world, but turned into an amazing compound for the whole family. So we love it out there. Yeah, and the kiddos love it. They're doing great. They love it. And we toured Westminster, but honestly, the carpool line had way too many electric vehicles for my liking, so I don't trust them. I just don't. And the kiddos, they're all on GLP-1s too. They look incredible. You should see them. I'll pull up a photo. Yeah. Well, anyways, man, really great to see you. Hoping to chat soon. Very cool.
All right, that was fun. Let's go and get back to it. Something enjoyable for us there. So yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember exactly. I haven't seen enough of their stuff, but I think they're like tech people. So they're kind of like tech folk.
I'll give a portion of the bounty that feels equivalent to the degree to which you increased my odds. I can confirm the fraction it feels equivalent to me after you make the recommendation, but before I meet the person, or if we go out on our first date or whatever. It also counts if you get them to fill out my Date Me survey. You can go to Knowing Less and fill out her Date Me survey. Just make sure
and remember, this counts as us introducing you.
Yeah, she writes, make sure they list your name in the who recommended you question. So please recommend Simone Collins or Malcolm Collins, because, they could use the money.
Guys, I'll probably call this around the 3-hour mark. We'll listen to most of this. I definitely want to listen to potential solutions and future practices. I might have to I gotta call somebody, but we're good.
No, but this is I think a very fair way to do it, right?
Yeah. And Ayla is much more organized about it. Like in her Date Me quiz, like she checks a whole bunch of things about your personal, anxiety levels, your income level, how, your sexual proclivities, because she knows herself really well. The bounties that people put out more commonly, they'll like post something on Facebook of all places. That seems to be the most common place where they post them. And it will be in the form of a Google Doc that a lot of people can, it's a publicly posted Google Doc, so anyone can click through to it and see. And it's typically a list of like sort of criteria, and here's some stuff about me, and here's what I'm looking for, and here's the bounty, and here's how to specify that you are making the introduction, or here's how to reach out if you think that you are this person. And I love this. I wish that we had more organized data on how effective it is, but a lot of people are doing them. And, I think there's something
I wanted to create a dating site that was just for them. And the reason it would work so well is because you could have the dating site get a portion of.
Hey, could you imagine somebody like really trying to like introduce you to somebody, but like you didn't realize that there's a marriage bounty going on, and like this person is incentivized to collect a marriage bounty on like them setting you up with somebody that they know
the price. So you have a inbuilt monetization method, and you don't actually need to find people to sign up at the site. You could give a portion of the money to whoever posted it on the site. So you can have people go out and scour for these posts about pitches to the general public, put the post on the site, and then they and the site get a portion if somebody finds the person through the site.
That's a fun idea. Yeah, we should consider doing that, because I also want these people to find their partners. Like these are very awesome people who I want to see find love and have cute children, cute nerdy.
Find love. There's a conversation there about, because the dowry system is sort of unseated by the love marriage because of these changes in society and all these kinds of things. Like people can afford to pay for love, I guess you can say. But that doesn't mean, like that there was no love in dowry marriages. It was love built off of respect and not romantic love built off of, you know, trying to live some ideal fantasy life. So that's interesting.
Children who are terminally online who can marry our children, maybe for a bride price or for a dowry. So I love and have cute children, cute nerdy children who are terminally online who can marry our children, maybe for a bride price or for a dowry.
I mean, you know, I really appreciate her enthusiasm on the whole subject, so I'll give her that.
Oh, the money shall flow. It's going to be great. But also, this is not the first time elite groups.
God, that can almost be a sound effect. The money shall flow. It's going to be great.
That are also technophilic and capitalistic and all that have practiced this tradition of selling off their children. Have you heard, Malcolm, of
better term would be marrying off. Marrying off.
The dollar princesses?
No, tell me about this.
So the era of the dollar princesses spanned roughly from the 1870s to the early 1900s, and it peaked during the Gilded Age. So because that HBO show's out right now, a lot of people are actually talking about the dollar princesses online. The period saw wealthy American heiresses, often from newly rich industrialist or financier families, marrying into European aristocracy, particularly the British nobility. And this was sort of
this is man, I think I might even have some articles on that. Let me pull it up, guys. I know I had the one on Marlboro, but I probably can't pull it up that fast. There's just so many of them. Damn, Deadbeat Woman is such a good song. Luke Nielsen, man, it's an amazing song, dude, honestly. I wish I could just walk into a bar in like a random state and like that song just like I can just imagine the song coming on and then like just everybody just getting down with it, you know what I'm saying? And really just feeling it. Oh, American newspaper clippings. Oh, man. Tax on dowries. Oh, here it is. Right here. This is 1910, a tax on dowries. I believe this is it. Believing that the bestowal of great American fortunes upon foreign noblemen by their marriage with American women involves an economic waste, which ought not to go unchecked, a member of Congress in the United States has framed a bill providing for an export tax on dowries. And as regards all dowries over 20,000 pounds, a home tax as well. It is doubtful whether the home tax will be passed because in many cases, the prospective husband does not possess sufficient funds to pay the duty, and so the burden would fall upon the father-in-law. It is doubtful, according to some authorities interviewed, says the Daily Telegraph, whether the export tax will affect the number of international marriages. American heiresses and their mothers are really the responsible parties, and their mothers too, huh? Okay, so the mom's in this. Because they seem to encourage European suitors, and native rivals are usually handicapped because no matter how rich they may be, they are generally too busy getting still richer to spare much time for courtship. So this is interesting because it shows that dowries were happening in the U.S., okay? And it also, to a significant degree, to where Congress had to get involved. But it also shows what was going on and that they were worried about American money leaving the U.S. and going over to European families when, you know, it would be better to leave the money here. You know, so it's just, it's an interesting thing. It really is a fascinating history. But yeah, there were a lot of wealthy heiresses. I think I had one on the daughter of the Marlboro. Deadbeat woman. I can't get that song out of my mind. Deadbeat woman. Gosh, I don't know if this is another one. The Drain of the Dowries, 1903. It is said that the dowry of Mrs. Golay, who has just become Duchess of Roxburgh. Okay, so she's American, and now she's married into a noble title here. Amounts, when all is calculated, to some 2 million pounds. Man, this is in 1903, by the way. The export of duchesses and their dowries to Europe has raised much misgiving in the American press. Under the heading, The Drain of the Dowries, the New York World prints a table showing the fortunes which the American brides of foreigners have taken out of the United States. The total amount is $208 million, roughly speaking, 40 million pounds. So this is like these things are happening so much, like it's affecting the economy. This is 1903, by the way. So yeah, another fascinating one there. It's just some fun stuff. So fun. I think I know I had another one about the Marlboro daughter, but day woman. This might be another one. The drain of the. This is 1907. Jersey Times and British Press. Various estimates have been probably printed in multiple places. Various estimates have been made of the fortunes which American brides of foreign. This is back when American woman was much different than the American woman. Well, anyways, this is the progression, I guess. Various estimates have been made of the fortunes which American brides of foreigners have taken out of the United States. Some authorities put the figures much higher, but at the lowest estimate, they must have amounted altogether to over 50 million pounds. During recent years, and in a New York paper suggests that this accounts partly for the remarkable scarcity of money that is making itself felt in America. It is the carrying out of the country of enormous dowries that is held partly to blame. These have come chiefly from the Vanderbilts, the Mackays, the Goulds, the Goulets, and the Laters. But over and above the huge contributions from these families, about a score of American heiresses are mentioned as having married and gone to reside above. Let's see, with fortunes from 1 million pounds to 2 million pounds during the past 10 or 12 years. So that's a fascinating thing. I know I have one on the Marlboro. It's just probably not. I just got to pick it up. It's the Pope. I just got to go fish that one out. But, that was fun. So that's fun. So that's kind of what they're talking about here. I might skip that into solutions. I don't really care about issues and consequences in China. We have talked about China plenty. Potential, maybe we'll go over it.
Marriages of convenience for the most part, because what you had was this marketplace of noble families in the UK who could not make money from their properties the same way. The Industrial Revolution kind of ruined their ability to make money from their land the way they used to, and they're just being crushed by taxes, and they couldn't afford anything, and their manners were falling apart. So they were penniless but prestigious. And then you had all these
new money,
zero prestige but money rich people in the United States, industrialists who were like, well, I want to be fancy. I'm just going to marry off my daughter to a duke, and then she'll be really fancy. And you think, well, okay, whatever. This wasn't very influential. But no, these marriages produced very culturally significant.
Man, I'd love to see some footage of some rich American industrialist in a white suit and kind of has one of those now I say my daughter just married into European nobility. So I'd expect you to address our family with due respect now. I don't know. I guess I'm imagining a Southern guy. I'm imagining Leonardo DiCaprio in that one movie.
And effect.
Smoking their pipe.
Consider there was a Lady Randolph Churchill, that's Winston Churchill's mom. We have Winston Churchill thanks to dollar princesses and dowries. So not just Santa Claus, Malcolm. Winston bloody Churchill. Okay.
Winston Churchill was
She's so excited about the dowry. That's awesome.
Product of one of these.
It's great to see folks excited about the dowry over here, man. There we go.
Women.
Yeah. So her dowry, by the way, which was reportedly $50 million at the time. $50,000.
I'll try to find the Marlboro
is roughly
one.
Equivalent to 1.3 million today. So you're saying, oh, Ayla's is $100,000. No, 1.3 million is a lot. There's also another notable person who was produced by Dollar Princesses.
I don't know if I'm able to pull it up, guys. I'm sorry.
Diana Spencer.
Really?
Yeah. She was the she was a descendant of Frances Ellen Work, who married in 1880. She's the great grandmother of Princess Diana. So there are all these notable and very impactful people. One of the Dollar Princesses, Nancy Langham Shaw, Lady Astor, became the first woman to take a seat in the British Parliament. A lot of these women went on to be very influential, activists and whatnot. So you know, these were pretty cool, and they were all, again, the result of dowries. And it's just so interesting to see these traditions compared to kind of the traditional way of doing it, or the way that it's still practiced in places like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka.
It pleases me greatly that you enjoy the song as much as you do. Thanks, Luke. Man, it's greatest compliment from some art creation is the enjoyment from another/other. Man, thank you, man. I really do. It's got such a great just tune to it, man. Like it just really works, and I love the lyrics. You know, doesn't pay a cent but starts all the fights. That's the best.
Lanka, Afghanistan, Nepal, Iran, Egypt, Turkey, Azerbaijan. Like it's actually, there are a lot of countries where this takes place, and it pretty much all ends up being the same thing. It's sort of like these gifts that are transferred. But let's talk about like how we might do it and how they're done right and wrong. Because I think that China, and you can get into this, is one example of how they are really done wrong and how they can actually suppress fertility.
Create a big problem, yeah.
So go into the
China, you know, they've had their one child. They really lopsided their marriage market over there. And then communism, like when you got government daddy that's going to provide everything, that also changes how all this stuff is done. And then they want to do, you know, bride prices. I think they're trying to reach back to something. But, you know, China, as we know, is a place where they've kind of done things both ways throughout history. They've had dowry and bride prices. So, you know, it's an interesting place there. I might kind of skip this discussion on China and just go straight to their potential solutions. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to save a little time tonight. But, you know, check out the video if you guys want to hear that.
Yeah. Well, so here's what I think is right, though. And here's what I would like to look at creating. I think that, one, just this concept of
Ridiculous game
in the
and drop
stockings
them.
for us. Yeah.
You know, they're the boy you're having now is what, like the fifth prince, right? Like kid number 5, right? We want to go for at least 7, right?
Yeah.
Man,
Well,
I don't know who Ayala is.
So here's what I think is right, though. And here's what I would like to look at creating. I think that, one, just this concept of, because keep in mind also, bride prices and dowries are often used in cultures as a form of like early inheritance, because it's kind of lame to like.
Dowry is the pre-mortem inheritance.
Wait until you die to give money to kids. And in cultures where kids are more likely to take care of you in your old age anyway, like you want to invest in them younger, because then they will be more wealthy when you actually need them to take care of you. Does that make sense? So these are more common in places that have crumbling social services.
Oh, God. Let me just get this real quick. My bad. I've been trying to drink a lot more water, man. I mean, you know, and I've just been trying to. Karen says, hey, Shah, I have a question. In Islam, there is an arrangement. I don't know what it's called exactly, but it is also heavily lopsided. From what I recall, having a conversation with a Muslim colleague. If you don't mind telling me what you heard, I can do my best to clarify it from there, and we can have that discussion if you'd like. Just let me know, or if you do remember, like, what it is specifically you want to hear about it. You know, otherwise I can give you the whole rundown, but from what I recall, so you're saying it's lopsided. I think I know what you mean. It's, you know, believe it or not, people wouldn't think this, but like Islamic content and stuff actually has a lot of gynocentrism in it, believe it or not. But the only sort of, and they incorrectly use the word dowry for this all the time. What they will focus on is called the meher, which some say is cognate with mohar, but they're two different things. And the meher is basically an amount of money that is negotiated that you give the bride, okay? And it's a kind of insurance to if a divorce happens or if, you know, the husband dies or something, then she can use it. And this is negotiated. What they will try to do is say that that is the only marriage transaction to worry about. But that's not true, because a lot of Muslim countries practice the dowry. It's called the jahiz. And the difference with Islam is that divorce, kind of like Judaism, like there is a pathway for divorce, basically. So it's not like Christianity, at least, where that's not supposed to be a thing. In Hinduism too, divorce isn't supposed to be a thing. But so what happens is you have this thing called the meher, okay? And then what they're going to want to do is also say, like, be monogamous, pay the meher, and then don't take the jehez, which is the dowry. So they try to push that nowadays. But a lot of countries, that's not the case. They do pay the meher, but there's also a jehez in the background. So Egypt has the jehaz. In Turkey, jehez, they have it. In Iran, jehezia. In Afghanistan, they have jehez. Pakistan, they have jehez. So in Iran, God, there was an article about Iran from 2014 in The Guardian that went all about this. Jehezia. God, I can't remember how to spell it in English. Iran dowry Guardian article. The rising price of love. Like, okay, but the other difference in Islam that you need to know is that, so if you're looking at like a dowry system in Europe, the daughter receives her full dowry in at the time of marriage, pre-mortem inheritance, okay? And then there's no inheritance. In Islam, the daughter is entitled to a half share of inheritance as to her brothers. So there's a meher paid, and then there's also a half share of inheritance that she should get upon the death of her parents, okay? But if you actually look it up, man, most Muslim countries are about 99% monogamous. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Islamic countries are monogamous. Or not monogamous, like what percent of people in, there we go. So, I mean, this is just, there's different articles and stuff where this is from Pew Research Center. While there isn't an overall percentage, research indicates that a vast majority of people in Islamic countries are monogamous, with less than 1% of men living in polygamous household in countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, and Egypt. So even in Afghanistan, less than 1% of people are polygamous anyways. So 99% are monogamous. And this is where the jehez comes in, because they expect a payment, from the wife's side. There's still a meher there if a divorce happens. But to encourage monogamy, the jehez is there. And then on the back end, you have this half inheritance. So if divorce is going to be allowed in, then there needs to be this meher. There needs to be a half share of inheritance. Otherwise, there's going to be issues there as far as what happens to this individual, the woman especially, if a divorce happens. But to get to your point about lopsidedness, Karen, the issue is that what they'll do is say, well, you're supposed to pay meher. Then they're going to kind of encourage monogamy, and then there's going to be no talk of the jehez, which is completely like BS. So a lot of Muslim guys just don't understand that. And, I don't know if I'll have a run-in with those folks, not really planning to, but that might be a discussion that needs to happen there every now and then. See, like here's Iran, and this is just how it works in Iran. The trend of lavishing this is from The Guardian. Oh, gosh, when was this written? This was in 2014, I think. Oh, yeah, 7th April 2014. The trend of lavishing their daughters with over-the-top dowries, or jehezia, flies in the face of current economic trends, which have seen the purchasing power of urban families fall to 23%. I'm trying to get to at present, a typical jehezia runs a family anywhere between 400 million and 1 billion rials, about 16,000 to 40,000 at the official rate of exchange. So over there, you can imagine 25,000 US dollars at the start of a marriage that the daughter needs to bring in is a pretty significant amount. In an economy where the average monthly wage is 500, see that? That's the dowry, right? So that's what's happening in a lot of Muslim countries and what's happened for a long time. What a lot of people are sold is minus this part. It's just the meher, which is a sort of insurance amount that you give her in the case of divorce. So there's all this weird stuff. And to be honest, man, fertility rates going down over there too in a lot of places. So it's just, it really depends. Where's my Pew Research Center? Hold on a second. Deadbeat woman. See, like here's Pew Research Center. Like you're going to see mostly polygamy here in these African countries. Egypt has less than 5%. India's less than 5%. Pakistan's barely at 1%. That's going to be your northern tribal regions there, where they live in the mountains. Iran is less than 5%. Man, where's Turkey at? Well, Turkey's in the blue. Yeah, I'm sorry, not less than 5%, less than 0.5%. So less than 1%, less than 0.5% of people are polygynous over there. So it's mostly monogamy. So because of that, you see a commensurate dowry system crop up over there. But there are these other requirements that are prescribed, like the meher and the half share of inheritance. And pretty much what's happening is they're getting their share of inheritance at the time of marriage. At least that's my opinion on that. So that's from Pew Research Center. So a lot of times, like, well, we know Muslims are polygamous and they marry this. It really is in like extreme circumstances. And it's really not common. So anyways, man, fun question there, man. Let's just get back to this for the interest of time.
Because parents are actively investing in their social safety net. And that means giving their kids the best early start possible.
Yep. Explain what you mean by this.
Okay, so if I know that I'm going to depend on my son or daughter to take care of me in old age.
A lot of that was in the marriage contracts too, about what's going to happen with the parents. So honestly, man, like if you're going to, like we have marriage contracts from, like ancient Hebrew marriages going just all the way down, there's a lot of different marriage contracts, and the marriage contracts I think in itself are a fascinating thing.
I'm not going to want to wait until I die to give them money because I'm going to be living in their freaking house.
Michael says Muslims have turned feminist in marriage due to pressure of women's and human rights organization. Yeah, I'd say that's a big part of it.
I'm going to be dependent on either them having the time or staff to take care of me and buy me medicine.
Karen says he told me that Muslims, when they marry, they get to sign a contract, but the contract benefits mostly women. Yes, meher is the word. Thank you. Also, when the husband leaves his wife, the man is supposed to pay the woman, even though she is earning a living. That would have been negotiated at the marriage contract, the meher amount. And that amount is supposed to be paid to her pretty much at the time of the marriage. So you shouldn't, the prescription is you need to make that payment and not dilly-dally on that. And then she holds that money in her own account, basically. This is what makes it easier for a guy to divorce a woman, because if there was no dowry, because then it's like, okay, you're forfeiting that meher amount. If she does something that doesn't make sense, it's harder for her to leave because she's just going to leave with her meher, so there needs to be a good reason for it. But since most of them are doing monogamy anyways, because you see the same things, right? You see income stratification, the way property's working there, and property transmission. So then you start to see a monogamous dowry system pop up anyways.
And our children are going to need the staff to take care of us. We require mini staff.
Yes, we need good care. And so if we were to wait until we literally died to give them money, one, like already that's too little too late. Like they're so far, like the cumulative advantage that early money gives to people. I mean, just alone considering compound interest. But if you're also thinking about education and early career games, I mean, everything snowballs. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about a young couple, you want to give them that money at the beginning of their adulthood, not late. And
yes, that's why the dowry system is fundamentally connected to the inheritance system. And you get a boost at marriage in the form of her dowry, and then there's another boost for the guy when his parents pass away. So it threads well. This is all about property transmission, because when you live in a society that values private property, that has income stratification, you have this problem of how do I transmit the property we've accumulated into the next generation in a way that makes sense. So you have, on the one hand, property that's moved from your family to her family, to her new family, in that way for your daughter's portion. So both sons and daughters inherit technically, even though feminists will tell you all day that only the sons inherited, but it's because they don't understand what they're talking about. And then on the other, and when marriages were negotiated, they're trying to match sons that have, like they're going to know what their inheritance is going to look like down the line. And then that is as being uncommensurate also with her dowry that she's getting, and along with his income and whatever the potential income is going to be. So that's how you get positive assertive matching, because they're trying to balance these figures basically.
That's something that's really smart, especially about dowries and bride prices that go directly to the bride and groom. And
at an early time so that it can give them a foundation to start having kids earlier on. So it really helps set up the new household in a way that makes sense.
It doesn't have, cash is the most popular way for this to be, but even giving them a place to live, livestock, which could be like their economic means of starting a business, for example, or even clothing, that means they don't have to buy the clothing. So I don't really care what the form is, but if it gets them a head start, a jump start, especially if you're going to depend on them in any way in the future.
Mike says, I was in the Gulf War, so short time in Saudi Arabia and Iraq. Oh, it's really cool, man. Shout out to you. The Gulf War. Well, it's interesting, man. Giovanni says, Michael saying thank you for your service. No, got a bronze star though. Nice, man. What else do we got? Thanks, but I stole a lot of money and was running from the law, so joined the getaway. Michael saying it's just being entertaining right now. Not sure what he's. Michael saying was an outlaw, man. Oh my gosh.
There is an incentive for that, and so I love this idea of front loading your financial support to children, or at least to young adults, so that they are more likely to get those cumulative benefits in the future. The money's going to go further if you give it earlier. So part of me was thinking like, well, maybe instead of like creating education savings accounts or like 529 accounts, or even like, trust funds or whatever, creating funds that like give grants to your children upon their marriage that are, contingent on that. One, motivates them to get married. Like imagine if trust fund kids only got their money if they got married and started having kids. They'd get married. Like now they're just like sluts at Coachella. Like think of all the wonderful things.
There's no point. You're right.
I like her idea. I think it's an interesting idea. It's like there's this way of saving for your kids that have these stipulations on it and these conditions that encourage good living versus here's some money, which kind of has been happening with people in college. And what's been going, what kind of people maybe get into at college or whatever. Maybe they'll still get their education or something, but I appreciate the interesting, creative, forward thinking here in her excitement about that.
It reduces the point of getting married if you don't get some big boost. Like you're basically getting a proto inheritance.
It's a pre-mortem inheritance. That is the academic term. Shout out to Jack Goody.
At the point of marriage, which you don't get today, which encourages early marriage.
Yeah, exactly. And you could even...
Yup. It's interesting to me just kind of like watching these two like people just understanding it. And you know what I mean? And it's like, that is what I went through when this happened right here. Like that, it just finally made sense. You know what I mean? Like, and men on a deep level understand that they're getting a bad deal from how we do marriage now. They know that. Except anytime a guy feels this in his instincts, you get called like that. There's just, you don't want to be a real man. Tradicons are going to say you don't want to be a real man. You're not being masculine. Feminists will basically say a similar thing. You know what I mean? But men know like the deal is bad. They just couldn't point to it. Like this dowry conversation gave us the historical backdrop to really prove to them that this is a bad deal and that you need to change this. That's what this did. When that chest was open there, buried deep in the ocean, or, at least here under the water, that's what happened. We're going to play this with the sound too, copyright or not. Music really helps here. And we figured it out. Like, we figured out what the lie was. They were lying to us this whole time. They took this from us and they tried to get us to forget about it. And we didn't forget. We remembered.
They played us like a damn fiddle! Your dowry, it's my right!
You know, so that's why this is just like such a beautiful thing, because it fills in all these gaps, you know, that were there.
Make it,
actually.
You could make it a trust, and you could make trust payments very contingent on things like this has to be for education, fertility, maybe a down payment on a house, like the kinds of things that would lead to a family's long-term flourishing.
See, yeah, see, I that's you know, shout out to her. I like that kind of forward thinking there. And it would also encourage families to save. You know what I mean? And think about their priorities in a different way. Right now, we live in a society where it's like people just want their kids to, I mean, if people are even together anymore, but it's pretty much you're 18 and that's it. Now, you know, I get to do whatever I want, but there's no concern. Really, like, in a way, it's like you're a parent up until your kids are married, frankly. Like, in a lot of, you know, other places too, where they really, you know, they do it more traditional. It's a big relief, probably even for parents here to some extent, when your kids get married. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you did your job as a parent. You got them to this place. But over there, it's like, oh, you're 18. It's time to dip out, you know? And now, like, the economy's in a way where an 18-year-old can't just go and find, you know, it's going to take a lot of saving, a lot of due diligence, a lot of just working together if you find some decent person. And it's not as easy as like, okay, yeah, you can get this job and you can, you know, pay the apartment rent and save all this money. You know what I mean? So it's a different time, and families, I think, really need to work together to be a little bit smarter about how they're going to go about, you know, this whole family project, so to speak.
And we've already talked about, like, if we ever do a savings that we can allocate to our descendants, that we would want to be able to cover things like IVF and egg freezing and embryo freezing and that kind of thing. And also matching funds for starting a business. Remember how we were going to do that. One of the things we fantasized about is having like a trust for descendants, but also like people who come into the family, essentially, where you don't just give a kid money, like a grandkid or whatever, money for starting a business. If they come to you with a business proposition, you can agree to match funds raised from other parties, like legitimate third parties that do not, you know, that are not friends and family, that are literally investing in them because they think it's a good idea.
Well, that's what we've decided to do with our kids.
But I think that dowries in the form of investments like this are great. That, you know, you have to be married, and then as a couple, you will then.
Dan says using money for IVF. I think it's just part of their channel because they're like super pro-natalist and they're like these tech Silicon Valley types. I don't even know if they're from Silicon Valley. So I think IVF is a thing for them.
Unlock access to dowries in the form of
we've decided to do with our kids.
But I think that dowries in the form of investments like this are great. That, you know, you have to be married, and then as a couple, you will then unlock access to things like university education that's paid for, things like IVF, embryo freezing, things like maybe housing subsidies or matching funds for investment in business, because that would encourage people to start their families when otherwise they'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to start my family until after I have a house or my college education. And here, you need to get married to get those things. And you just need to find ways in society to like.
Basically, this is the incentivization that the parents have on the children, essentially. You know what I mean? And because it's like when people think of arranged marriages, what they're thinking about is this sort of like thing where people are forced to do that, and it's just like it's been decided since you were a child. But that's not really the case. It is a bargaining situation, and it's arranged once a bargain is met in the sense of a deal. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you know, a kid can elope, but the parents' incentive, they can't force their kids to marry, but they can say, If you elope, we are disowning you. And to be disowned means something. It means you are not getting your inheritance. So she's forfeiting her dowry. Her parents are going to be like, fine, the money we were going to give you, your portion, we're going to invest that to our other 2 kids who actually decided to make a more rational decision in this whole thing. There's a paragraph in a... right here. This is from a book called The Marriage Bargain. It's written in 1985. It mainly references like Jack Goody, and I mean, there's some other scholars too. It's ironically kind of feminist, but this is an interesting paragraph here. Hopefully you guys can see that. There's a whole, paragraph here. The part I'm interested, the articles illuminate the ways in which families protected their lineage and property, endeavoring to maintain or enhance their class status by matching a promising young man of appropriate status and good economic prospects with a financially well-endowed young woman. Yes, you heard it here first. We are looking for financially well-endowed young women. Men aren't the only ones that can be well-endowed. Women can be well-endowed too.
And there's nothing more important than marrying a wealthy woman. As you get older, I'm going to teach you tricks on how to find a dumb lady that loves just tanning and comes from a family full of perhaps oil money. And then you can be a spoken for, well taken care of trophy husband and surf every day. And then maybe someday grandpa can also get on the money train and be a part of your rich wife's life.
Now, yes, that was our first gold pill overdose. Maybe he went a little too far into this thing. But at the very least, what you want is a matching. You want a match here. So you see a young man of appropriate status and good economic prospects with a financially well-endowed young woman. This is the part everybody forgot right here. And this is the part that's important. They underline the controls, particularly arranged marriages and the threat of disinheritance. See that? The threat of disinheritance. That's the threat. That's built into the incentive system. So what she's talking about of like these different conditions that unlock the money in the trust, this was an incentive that was built in. This is why they call them marriages of reason versus marriages of romance, versus the love match, which is built on passion and not rational thinking. So this is the incentive structure. So it's like you can run away with Romeo, but your status in society is going to become lower because it's going to be a lot harder. Your life is going to be a lot harder. You're not going to have that money setting you up from the beginning. So the threat of disinheritance. They underline the controls that noble bourgeois and propertied peasant families exerted over daughters and sons. Another thing that really is annoying is when feminists will say, well, women were forced to get married with marriages that they didn't want, because they come out here with the craziest things to say. But what's crazy is if you're going to apply that logic, it actually applies to the sons too. If you're a son and your parents are like, hey, check her out. She's well endowed. Okay, this is commensurate with what you're getting as a bequest. This is a marriage you should consider. And you go out there and say, no, I want to marry the tavern wench because I'm in love with the stripper, I guess. And it's going to be like, excuse me? You know what I mean? Like, no, there's going to be a threat of disinheritance there. And sometimes they had to marry people that they don't want to marry. And this really comes in from this toxic thing of like, men will have sex with anything.
I don't think we're talking about love here. We're talking about sex in front of the children.
Sex cauldron? I thought they closed that place down.
You know what I mean? So it's like what they're saying is like the men are always winning, but there's such a thing as a man marrying a woman that maybe he wasn't in love with or didn't really, you know what I mean? Depending on the stakes of this whole thing. But he did it because of reason in the same way that it makes sense on the other side for the woman. So, but people neglect it when it comes to the man's sort of side or feelings or whatever the hell. So it's just a more feminist claptrap. And sons to ensure the continuity of existing social relations. Let's read that sentence again. They underline the controls, particularly arranged marriages and the threat of disinheritance, that noble bourgeois and propertied peasant families exerted over daughters and sons. to ensure the continuity of existing social relations. This is important. Also, they detail the broader economic and social structures within which young women married and the degree to which the institution of dowry structured courtship and marriage. Yes, this is what I spend my evenings and weekends reading. This is what I'm doing over here. This is what I'm doing over here. I'm like, man, I did my walk for the evening. I ate dinner. I got a cup of buttermilk and some blackberries. It's time to sit right here and to read this book from 1985. That's what's going on.
Flip that around. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm excited. I want to do that.
I like that if we have the wealth to do it. Yeah. I think it's better just to give them arranged marriages and
we're doing that anyway, but like that's
they're doing that anyway.
The other thing though is that dowries, bride prices, and arranged marriages all go hand in hand. I mean,
yes, absolutely they do.
Many of these are negotiated between the families. This isn't like just putting it out there, like sign in the window. $58,000 for my daughter.
Well, that's the way Ayla's works, you know.
Man, guys, I gotta take a huge leak because I just drank those 2 bottles of water. But what I want to do is play my new favorite song over here. I mean, I got many favorite songs. Man, I'm so happy about all the stuff you guys created. But I'm gonna play "Deadbeat Woman" one more time to showcase that, and then I gotta just take a leak. Is basically what's going on over here. So let me get y'all folks the sky view. So maybe you can play some I Spy in here while I play this. Hopefully that's not too loud for y'all. Shout out to Luke Nielsen for that. I'll be right back, man. It's I gotta go. I got to go.
Clean shirt, new shoes, and I don't know about you. But I'm working hard, paying bills, pulling my way through. Shows up empty-handed, no dowry inside. Just a pretty smile, thinking that'll make it right. They come running just as fast as they can, 'cause every guy's worried about a deadbeat woman. Deadbeat woman. Deadbeat woman. Gold watch, diamond ring, I got the means to swing. But she's a papa queen, bringing nothing but a blingless thing. Thinks she's a holding table, but can't lift the floor. Weighing down the scales, leaving me in the lurch. They come running just as fast as they can, 'cause every guy's worried about a deadbeat woman. Deadbeat woman. Deadbeat woman.
Oh man, that was amazing. Whew. All right, we're back. Oh my gosh, I needed that. Guys, I missed so many chats, man, but we're going to play some music in the end here. I'm just going to read the comments after a couple more minutes of this. Link song, please. Oh, it's in the Discord. I'll get this posted up on the channel soon too. I actually have a harmonica, but I'm not very good at it. I wanted to play it. One of these days I'll get back to my harmonica playing. Fantastic song. Some real Americana, tell you what. in that song. I dropped the Dontavius soundbite in Discord. Thank you, man. I'll make sure to add that to the sound, to my sound bank here for next week.
Oh, find a guy who's good enough for me, and you get the money.
Well, yeah, because she doesn't have her family's involvement, but like at least traditionally, like the cultural technology that appears to have been pervasively practiced across, like literally across the world. I mean, like again, St. Nicholas, this whole tradition, this was in Europe. You know, dowries were very popular in Europe until you could argue fairly recently, and then of course we still had.
Yep. 1980 in Greece. It's 1983 in Greece. I think 1981 for Spain. They didn't get rid of the dowry laws, until like the 70s in Italy, I believe. That was from the newspaper article. France, it was in like the 60s. I think it was 63 or 64. I can't remember. So it's all very recently. It's crazy how recent a lot of it is. And like the collective amnesia on it is insane.
Princesses in the United States. So dowries are totally still a thing. So that they've been in the United States, they've been in Europe. They're still very active in Africa. They're
bride price, not dowry. See, there's a lot of confusion here. Like it's important to get the terms right, about what you're speaking. The umbrella term would be marriage transaction.
Pretty common in East Asia, in the Middle East. I mean, there's kind of no region.
I think she means bride price.
Of the world, in Oceania as well. In freaking
the craziest thing is like most marriages from the beginning of like human civilization have had some kind of marriage transaction. That like sounds crazy, but it's like it's dowry at the highest complex level. Then it's bride price, bride wealth as a kind of intermediary. Then you had things like sister exchange. Then you have like bride service where there's no money, but it's like a labor. Then there's sister exchange. Then there's just like gift exchange. So like those are for like very primitive communities, but there's something that happens there.
Papua New Guinea. So
I think Peter Wright told me that there's evidence of marriage transactions happening going back like it was some crazy amount. Like it was thousands and thousands of years old.
You see a cultural technology like this that is so pervasive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask yourself,
why?
Okay, if this many cultures have spontaneously evolved this amenity, we should take it somewhat seriously, even if it has a bad rep. Because it's again, Winston Churchill, Santa Claus, Princess Diana, good things have come from this. Okay,
not just good things. I will say it again: the entire West was built on the back of the dowry. So it's the entire civilization. Maybe I'm really pushing it too far, but I don't think so. Like this system did bring us here, to this era that we're at now. And what we're seeing now is the sort of marriage market in shambles in a lot of ways. And it's like to get this whole thing off the ground, it required the dowry. I think especially in Western history too. And of course, Indian history and other places too. India had the dowry going back a very long time, all the way from the laws of Manu. But ancient Athens was also doing it. And ancient Athens was a very complex civilization that created many good things and many good ideas. And, in European history, you can kind of see, how the dowry spreads in certain areas. It goes from ancient Greece to Rome. And then it spreads into Germania as, these two kind of struggle with each other until Germania, it ends up, the dowry system ends up taking over. That's how you have France and Germany doing dowry up until relatively recently. To get people to the New World, I've read that the crown would pay dowries for women if they went to the New World to go settle over there. So when I say built on the back of the dowry, I mean that.
I'm a little too excited about it.
Yeah, I think that the way that it's practiced in rationalist circles right now is a very good thing. I mean, it's sort of a sign of the breakdown of marriage markets, to be honest. It's
totally
desperation to try to find somebody, and I've seen it work. we knew a couple who got married based on this, who had been trying to find a wife for a very long time, and she'd been trying to find a husband for a long time. And I think they both had prices out. I had actually looked at one of their like sheets. No, he did. And I had looked at a sheet before, and I knew this woman, and I never thought of her because she was older and had a kid already. But apparently somebody else did, and they were right. So I could have had that money. I could have had that $2,000.
Okay, so that's the marriage bounties, which is an interesting thing. Let's just check out the comments, and then we'll get things wrapped up. Every single question you have about saving marriage has the same answer. You can't save marriage if you don't fix divorce. Yeah, and I get what they're saying, but what we discuss it, as a hedge against it. So if it does, they've mutually contributed. So gold pill is interesting because it is something that you can do from an individual level that at least gives you some eye to eye. And me, that my opinion after reading so many divorce orders and working at child support was that I would prefer not to be married and have kids with someone who didn't bring anything or had no income. I would prefer the person with income or with some kind of large financial contribution. That was my way of looking at it because it's 50-50 up until that point. And of the divorce judgments I've read where both people had something, they were usually the most amiable divorces. We already have bride price when a guy pays for the ring and wedding. It's more than bride price in most countries. Well, this is wrong because it's not bride price. It's an amount that you're putting on her finger. That bride price didn't go to her family for them to procure another wife. So not correct. I get what he's saying, but it's not a bride price proper. The plot of The Corpse Bride. I have that movie on DVD. My brother specifically told me, about, because he remembered that from that movie. And I was like, ooh, and I bought the movie. That's where this comes from.
Your dowry, it's my right.
That's from The Corpse Bride, by the way. The plot of The Corpse Bride is based on an aristocratic family that was land rich and cash poor, marrying a child off to a merchant family that was land poor and cash rich. And then there's that scene in there where it's revealed that like she doesn't have a dowry because her parents are lying. And then the joke is that the match is actually good, even though she, doesn't want to get married to him or whatever, because they're both poor. It's actually a suitable match. That was the irony there. The switching cost is already extremely high for men and negative for women. Okay. So let me get this straight. Ayala, who is in her 30s, now wants a husband and demands an income asset floor. I don't know who Ayala is, but you guys kind of mentioned him. Hey, shout out to Raymond here, making an appearance. Asset floor that I am going to guess is close to at least $1 million. And I am also going to guess that from the start, she wants an open marriage. Good luck with that. Also, I am kind of curious how modern marriages are done between millionaires with such terms. Does each prospect hire their own private investigators to verify the other's income and assets? What exactly is income? Is it absolutely guaranteed money each and every year? Would Malcolm right now meet Ayala's income requirements? What if a prospect Ayala marries turns out to be perfect in every way, but falls a bit short in income and assets? Is she going to sue for annulment and even fraud? Also, do millionaires these days demand prospects go to, say, South Korea and get one of their comprehensive physicals and maybe throw in other stuff? Do prospects undergo pre-screening for future chronic conditions and fertility, maybe genetic screening? So many questions. Jokingly, I told my wife and daughter that all my daughter's stuff, about $40,000, is actually her dowry. They look at me askance, of course. Bring back the dowry. Hey, we got a song about that. Bring back the dowry, where brides and their families contribute to the future family. Finally have the women contribute for once again. Shout out to you. Biblically, you have this backward. Bride prices are a rarity. Biblically, the bride's parents paid the groom as he was taking responsibility for their daughter. I think Michael Sayin might have something to say about that. This is something that makes a lot of sense down the road, but currently all it is going to do is increase barriers of exit from the UMC. Some UMC dad, I don't know what that is going unmarried child. I don't know. Some UMC dad is never going to come up with a dowry for his daughter because that's his boat money and she needs to go earn it from her girl bossing. Okay, I went to the same primary school as Princess Diana. All right, we got a big claim here in the comment section. Even after she had left long ago, people still... okay, so I can see it. Even after she had left long ago, people still told stories of her notorious lying. Her media persona is entirely fictional and is one of the greatest psyops ever on the British people. Who knows, man? Maybe, according to this random anonymous commenter. Yes, 100%. And if your wife leaves you or refuses to have kids, they should owe you additional compensation. The issue in the West is that divorce is incentivized for the woman. Women are highly encouraged to divorce the husband and marry the state for any number of benefits. Well, when most people get married, the state is a partner to them to that anyways. The price for getting and keeping a woman have been growing exponentially, whilst the actual value of most women as quality wives has plummeted. They weren't sold, they bought their husbands. My wife asked my brother if she could post in a traditional Catholic women's Facebook group about him to find a wife. He agreed. Within 5 days, he was already on a date with the woman he is now engaged to. Okay. The issue with marriage is divorce. The tender years doctrine is the primary issue. Restoring the previous system will instantly solve most of the problems. Compensation matches risk. In the West, women should pay dowries to compensate for around 70% of divorces being initiated by women, and even higher rates for college-educated women. Yes, the dowry. The dollar princess idea is a plot point in the early episodes of Downtown Abbey. I'll have to watch some of those shows. That's interesting. Dowries and bride prices aren't going to do anything to boost fertility rates in highly developed countries. To replicate the conditions of high TFR countries, you have to replicate the main ingredients, which is a rollback of government-backed egalitarian policies that artificially put women on the same financial level as men. Only then will the incentive to marry and have kids increase. Okay, yeah, I think we've seen enough of that. Let's go ahead and get the Mr. Pitt classic here, Shaw's Bold Endeavor. If it will load. Come on now. I'm trying to get some smooth jazz in the building. Oh my gosh. Any second now. What's going on with the internet? If it doesn't work, I can pull off my hard downloaded copy. There we go. Shout out to the folks out there. Let me just respond to somebody here.
Shaw had a plan, oh grand and true, to bring back a custom just for
Well, my bad.
a dowry's charm to rekindle.
Man, I think we had a good time in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't read all the chats. I really tried to, man, but looks like you guys are having a fun conversation there amongst yourselves. I think it was a pretty good episode. You know, it's interesting to watch them talk about it there. And I hope you guys got some more education tonight. You know, we pulled out the documents, and you know, I think this might be an episode where I actually need to get timestamps from.
Bring back the dowries. Let's make it clear, a token of love that's sincere, building bridges heart to heart, a timeless way to never part. He spoke of tales from times long past when gestures grand.
Let me just look at some of these chats, man. Whew.
With every coin and
Let's go. Play the new songs. Man, I gotta locate those other ones from the Discord, man. I'm sorry. I didn't download them, but Dan the Man, tell me which one you want me to play, and I'll play it right after this. It's in AI content, I think. Shaw's Grand Plan. Okay, there was two. Oh, the anime one. I can't remember which one I like. Oh, I really like the second one, the K-pop one. Okay, yeah, we got the K-pop one coming in after this. That's coming next. Thank you for that, Dan the Man. Good night, Shaw. I hope Sufjan Space Next. Good night, guys. Peace out. Take it easy, Talut. Oh, that's right. Apologies in advance. I enjoy listening to you. Very informative. Thank you, Oikophobic, man. It's a pleasure to have you. Caesar says, shout out to you, Caesar. You have to call a girl shot. What happened to bros? Poor, I was just kidding, man. I swear I gotta call one of my bros, but I was just texting someone back. That was not a bro. See y'all. Michael saying, I appreciate you being here tonight, man, hanging out with us. We had fun. If you guys are interested, you know, you can check out my Twitch. I've been trying to play some games on there, man. It's really hard for me, but I really want to, you know. I do want to get the after show going. Sorry I had to call it early tonight. But I think we had fun, man. I mean, we saw that finance guy. He was hilarious. We saw Dontavius. We got the Dontavius sound effect coming in thanks to Mr. Pitt. We saw some old newspaper articles. We saw some academic papers. I mean, this freaking stream had everything in it. We had fun discussions. It was crazy. And all of that stuff fit perfect, like just nicely into 3 hours. I appreciate everybody who hit the like button. I appreciate the donation there from our brothers. Thank you for that. Appreciate everybody who chatted, who hung out with us in real time. You know what I'm saying? It was fantastic. What Michael's saying says, peace, see you in the discussion boards on Discord. Heck yeah. Yeah, thanks to all I appreciate the Discord discussions during the week. I try my best to respond to them. Sometimes I kind of miss things, but I love that. I love that, like, we have those discussions in the Discord, because that's fun to me, you know. Let's see. Let's get this other song going here. So this is our second one. This is from Dan the Man. Let's see what we got going on. This one's called Shaw's Grand Plan, and it's K-pop inspired. Yo, I saw some K-pop people at the SAC Anime today.
Let's bring the dowry back, he said, to fix the knots where vows have fled.
I think this was it. I hope I clicked the right one. You guys rock. Thanks for the great chill evening. Thank you, Luke. And man, Deadbeat Woman. I'm going to be playing that tomorrow just to myself. Giovanni, man, you're a legend. Mr. Pitt. W Shaw Squad. W Stream. Thanks, Shaw. Fun time. I was looking forward to the video on dowry and bride prices, so thanks for that. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. Michael, it's always a pleasure to have you. Salute to Oikophobic and salute to everyone else. W Stream, W Dontavius, gotta stay gaming. Don't focus on no girl. Remember that. Today's quote of the day, gotta stay gaming. Discord is top notch. Join here. Thanks for putting that in there. We got the invite link. The K-pop one is the other one. Oh, really? Oh, man, my bad, man. I got the wrong one. Let me click the right one. So we're going to get this song out there per Dan's request. God, I hope this is it, bro. I don't know. Oh, no, dude, I clicked the wrong one, bro. This is the wrong one, too. My bad, man. I didn't go back far enough. The second, no dowry, no story. All right. All right, this is the K-pop one. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, Dan the Man, man. This one's called No Dowry, No Story. I can't put my volume up. Shout out, man. Good stuff. Mark, brother. Shout out to you, man. But I know most of it is not of interest most to you. Thank you, Luca. Welcome using any of my stuff. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. You know, and you should be given credit. I'll make sure to shout you out wherever I share that and play that. Great show. Have a good evening. Thank you, man. The older one. I keep building my songs, stuff I like, listen to them every day. We love your music, Luke. We really do. Have a great week. I posted to the live stream chat. Someone tell me if that's not the right channel. It's usually Tavern unless it's something specific. Let me see. When female, oh, you can put it in content sharing, but it's cool here. I can watch this later. It's all good. Why this actually heat? Yo, shout out JP. That's where it starts hitting. I've been liking the No Dowry, No Story song. Keep making music, man. I love the music, man, honestly. Shout out to, you know, the folks and the AI. Oh my gosh.
Yet you demand a throne and name. No dowry, no story, no crown for the phony. Empty hands, empty heart.
There we
girl,
go.
you just below me. No shine, no crime, no worth, no glory, no dowry, no story, no love in this category.
I'm getting a following of sorts in Russian social media. It's pretty cool. All right. Shout out to Dan the Man for that. I got to make some phone calls. And, man, we'll get this going next week. I'll try to get some videos out. I vlogged my journey through like my day at SAC Anime. And I also did a vlog of me at the archery range. But, like, I just thought it wasn't, like, good enough. So I didn't post it. But I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. But I do want to make some other videos, you know, throughout the week. I say that every week and then I don't do it, but I really need to. I got another collaboration happening Monday morning. So you guys will be seeing that. I don't know if it's a live stream or not. If it's a live stream, I'll put it in the Discord. But I think it might be just being recorded and posted later. So that's probably what it's going to be. But all right, guys, salute to everyone here. Thank you. And we'll see y'all next time.